bitch, you wanna trap like.
Live at Madison, Illinois, we welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flag TV, where tonight we get set to kick off playoff season in the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series. Welcome to the Worldwide Technology Raceway and to race number 11, the first race of the round of 16. My name is R11, alongside Austin Edstrom. We are bringing you all of the coverage here tonight from start to finish. This facility home to perhaps more notably a quarter-mile NHRA drag strip that sees so much use throughout the year. Today, though, it's going to be playing host to the 1.25-mile oval that sits as a bit of an egg-shaped oval, very reminiscent that of Darlington here in Madison, Austin.
Yeah, we're getting the playoffs kicked off tonight. Looking forward to it. Got 16 very hungry playoff drivers here. Looking to punch their ticket to the round of 12. You know, get that win, get solidified, get those points stacked up here early in the round. You need to make sure you kick off the playoffs on the right foot as we look at the championship standings.
Ricky Hart Jr. and Benjamin Lacey are tied for the points lead. They, of course, both had 2 wins on the season. They have 3 bonus points apiece for all of that. And then you got Brian Dees, Ty Marasco, and Paul Wilson, all with just 1 win to their name. Sean Britt, Foster, Gibson, Greenwell, Hagee, Hilbrands, Kilrow, Leakey, McGill, Thorpe, and Welch all sit tied at 2,000 points for 16th on up to 6th, as the rest of these guys are going to be looking to duke it out. You mentioned correctly, you can lock yourself into the round of 12 here tonight with a race win at the Worldwide Technology Raceway, but critically, you have to win in order to get that. And there's only 3 races, so for 3 drivers, they may very find themselves locked into the round of 12. For everybody else, it's a race on points, and when you can get over 45 points in one race weekend, a 6-point gap really isn't that much.
No, it's not a lot at all. I mean, it's only 6 positions over 3 races. Now, with this being the opening round, I think there are a couple guys missing out, so maybe even if you have a bad race tonight, you're still going to score some points over your competition, some of them, but you really don't want to, you know, start out your playoffs on a really bad note. You want to get the momentum rolling, see where it takes you. You don't want to have a bad race start your championship hopes off.
This track is so unique in its layout. You've got turns 1 and 2 that are a very much a tighter radius, but they've got more banking than that of 3 and 4. So turn 1 tends to be the point and shoot turn. Turns 3 and 4 tends to be the momentum turn. So you'll tend to arc it in off of 4 to get that great exit off of the final corner, and then you'll use that run all the way down the front straightaway to defend through turns 1 and 2 from a dive bomb up the inside, able to rip the top side out of the second corner to pull yourself around. So with all of that, I think this could be a very compelling race, and one that very much comes down to pit strategy at the end of the night.
Yeah, I feel like in 1 and 2, you really got to sort of run that seam, right? That dark black shaded spot, like very thin, narrow strip of asphalt on the inside of the racetrack. You really want to run that in 1 and 2. But in 3 and 4, you can honestly do a little bit of different, a couple different strategies. You can go in there right along the apron and kind of wrap it. You can diamond it. You can do late apex. You can run a couple different lines in there to try to make speed. So I'd be interested to see like who kind of searches around first, who finds something that some of the other competitors might be slacking on.
Currently, you've got 17 cars that are looking to make starts here tonight. 15 have qualified. You've got looking to be about 6'10" from top to bottom here. Sean Britt sits on the pole with a 34.55. Connor Gibson way at the bottom with a 35.14. at this point, you have to take a look at how this race could pan out, right? You're thinking long term. Green flag runs at this track are very, very commonplace. We saw in the TNGG IEL Truck Series, they had, 2 cautions in the first 15 laps or so, and then they went green the rest of the 130-lap distance until their conclusion. So it's very easy for this field to get strung out. So this might be one of those races where those pick gambles that rely on a caution late might not be worth it.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those where maybe you save one tire set just to be absolutely sure, but I don't know. I feel like this is going to be relatively straightforward with those long green flag runs. I think it's going to play itself to everybody will probably have a tire set, waiting just in case we do get that last caution. Unless the fuel strategy is a little wonky. I don't know the exact amount of time they can run or how many laps they can run, but maybe if that's a little funky, then there'll be a little bit of different strategies with it. But otherwise, I think we're going to see a pretty straightforward race with the 4 tire sets. They got 3 behind the pits.
Take a look at your starting grid as we start to line things up for the race in action here tonight. And on the pole, it is going to be the likes of Sean Britt with a 34.545. Benjamin Lacey will be beside him on the front row. Dalton Kilgore on Paul Wilson, Brad row number 2. Ricky Hart Jr. and Tony Hilbrand's on row 3. Cody Welch and Brian Dees then here will lock out the top half of the field, Austin.
Yep, 9th is going to be David Leakey, followed by Michael Thorpe Jr. in 10th. 11th is going to be Eddie Hagge with Ty Marasco, not far behind in 12th. 13th is going to be Kevin Foster with Jason Greenwell in 14th. Connor Gibson in 15th. Scott Schuer in 16th. And Noah Mayuri in 17th.
17 cars ready to line up and roll out from this 1.25-mile facility in Illinois. 90 degrees Fahrenheit down on the racetrack, 89 in the air. So this all means there's going to be a bit to play with when it comes to the track temps here in this deal. So we'll again see how all this will shake up. 10 miles an hour wind blowing just off to the southeast. Those are some pretty hefty gusts, even when you're going at a bit of a slower track like this one.
Yeah, they can really catch you off coming out of the corner, right? I mean, that's kind of where the car unloads a little bit coming out. And we see some lazy spins, and we're seeing a lot of those in practice. So a little bit of that could be attributed to the wind. I don't know. Honestly, I don't really know how well iRacing has that coded in. I don't know how much of the wind actually affects you in sim, but if they've got it working, I mean, it's climbing up to what, 17 miles an hour now? I mean, if it's working right, it could definitely throw these guys for a loop coming out of turn 2.
Just waiting now on one more driver before we can grid on up, but it's looking like Noah Mayuri will not make it to the call, so we're going to be down to just 16 drivers to take it to the green flag here in this one. Mayuri did back out pretty early when he registered for this race, so potentially gave it a shot and realized this track probably wasn't for him, and that's what saw him towards the back. So we're down to 16 then, and it'll be Sean Britt to lead the way. We've seen that Apex Sim Racing car up several times towards the front of this race, although very often if I find that 955 car, it's had a lot of trouble staying up there. We think tonight might be his night?
I mean, it could be. I mean, he laid down an absolute heater. I mean, he beat Benjamin Lacey by 800ths, and the next closest qualifier was over a 10th and a half back. So, I mean, that's really impressive short run pace. If he can hold on to that thing for the entirety of a run, it would be pretty impressive. But Gateway's a pretty hefty tire eater, I gotta say, especially with the shifting down in 1 and 2, really chewing up those tires. So I don't know, it's gonna be tough to see if he can keep that pace up through the entire course of a run.
We'll work down into turn numbers 3 and 4. Just 2 corners left before we get back to racing action. Once again, we're happy that you're joining us here on a Monday night as the High Tide Racing League MF Racing the Designs Cup Series returns to Green Flag TV. Pace car pulls down and into pit road. And now, Sean Britt leads us into the Geico restart zone. Green flag in the air. We're racing in Madison, Illinois.
Benjamin Lacey got a really good jump there on Sean Britt, able to hold around his outside all the way through 1 and 2. Gets the run back or down the back straightaway here. Going to easily clear Sean Britt, it looks like, before they get to the corner. Just noses ahead of him. Dives deep into the braking zone of turn 3. Able to take the lead away from Sean Britt off the opening start. Really good job. Oh, but he gets a little bit high in 1 and 2, or sorry, in 3 and 4. Sean Britt powers back across him on the inside of the racetrack. Sean Britt back to the race lead.
Sean Britt picks up the race lead. Everybody else single file as we rip it down in towards turn numbers 1 and 2. A bit of contact there from Dalton Kilroe to the side of Paul Wilson as Wilson slides up, lets Hillbrands through to 4th. Breakerhart Jr. now trying to challenge for 5th. Sean Britt led that opening lap. To remain double or single file back down in the turn number 3.
Man, I thought Benjamin Lacey was just going to get clear and walk away with this thing, but man, he just overdrove the entry at 3 and 4 on the cold tires. Probably was expecting a little bit more grip than he got out of those front tires, and it just was not able to happen for him. As Foster, playoff driver, off the racetrack down on the inside of turn 4, gets it righted. I don't see any damage on that car, but that's definitely not the way you want to start out your playoff opener.
Let's take a look at the replay here. This is working out of turn 2, and we'll keep an eye on this one down to 3. He was trying to get back around Connor Gibson that made a move in the opening couple of laps as, whoa, got a bit loose there, or Gibson did at least, and I think realized he was headed for that outcrop of the wall. Gibson locked it up. Has that distracted Foster? It may have, as back of the 8 comes around, slides it out, and good save on that number 8 Mustang to keep that thing underneath him. Rights to the ship and will get going. Wilson takes it to the inside of Hillbrands. He'll secure 4th.
Yeah, little slider from Wilson. Going to allow Hillbrands, though, to cut back underneath. Coming off of turn number 2. Gets the run down the back straightaway. Unfortunately, does not quite have enough. Has to fall back in line before they fall down into turn 3. Wilson up to P4. Hillbrands back to P5. But Kevin Foster, you could tell, in the middle of 3 and 4, he had to get on the brakes for Gibson in front of him. And as soon as he got on the brakes, it just seemed all the weight transferred to the nose of the race car, and the back end just kind of came around on him, and he just really could not do anything to save it. Just all the weight was on the front end. He had no downforce on the back of the race car, and it just slid out from under him under low speed. So unfortunate for Foster, but no damage. Only falls back a few seconds. If he gets that caution, he'll be right back in this thing.
A lot of jockeying for position going on down here in the midfield. The top 4, top 5 are starting to spread out. You just saw Ty Marasco try to attack Brian Dees into turn 3 this last lap by. Wasn't successful in that attempt, as he's now got Thorpe pressuring him from behind. Already coming to the close at lap 5 of 150. It's going to be a long race tonight. These drivers definitely in the game here for the long haul as we dive it back through turns 1 and 2. Left side of your screen of the timing tower, you can tell who's a playoff driver and who's not, and well, you can more tell who's not a playoff driver at that point, with Scott Schur being the only driver that is not in contention for a playoff run here tonight. So everybody else trying to see if they can't lock it into that round of 12.
Oh, our race leader completely missed 3 and 4. Benjamin Lacey now to the inside with the run coming off the corner. But Britt went so high that he was actually able to grab a gear downshift and get the momentum coming off. Kilroe pushes Sean Britt down the front straightaway. Britt still side by side with Lacey, though, down into turn 1. Has to dive it in super deep. Clears him for a moment, but slides way up the racetrack. Benjamin Lacey's going to go through. Dalton Kilroe to the inside as well. He's going to get clear of Britt coming off of 2.
Oh, looks like Kilroe now trying to attack for the lead, though. Well, to get the 2-for-1 special down to the turn 3. He's going to try for it to the inside. Sean Britt packs it in line right behind Benjamin Lacey. Lacey's been good at pulling that outside as well. He's learned that right from the get-go of this race start, but it's looking like it'll be Dalton Kilroe to lead the way at the end of lap 7.
Yeah, really good move there from Kilroe to just kind of take advantage of the fight that was in front of him going into turn 1 the previous lap. Lacey and Britt side by side going in the corner. Both of them overshoot it a little bit. Kilroe able to do a massive undercut on both of them coming back on the back straightaway. Able to take away the race lead going into turn 3. Just really good move there from Kilroe to take that away from some pretty stiff competition, right? Like Benjamin Lacey's won 2 races this year. Sean Britt's been in contention a lot. Kilroe hasn't won yet this year, so really big move there from the 41.
Kilroe, one of the drivers looking to make moves in the early going here. Sean Britt as well trying to close up. All of this battling, though, is allowed for the 4th place runner of Paul Wilson and more to close right on in. You're right aboard Wilson now as Britt locks it up, goes way in deep into turn numbers 1 and 2. So send Sean Britt down to the number 4 spot for the drive to Rollsville, North Carolina, as he'll tuck it in behind that 86. Cuts off Tony Hillbrands, though, before that 92 car can get some sort of momentum run down to the turn 3.
Yeah, Britt's going to hope that he can kind of get acclimated to this dirty air quicker. You know, he was running up front for the first 7 laps of this thing, just kind of getting used to that clean air. Now he's out here in the dirty air behind everybody, trying to make that thing work. Maybe he even burned out the tires a little bit too early, right? The first 5 laps, maybe he just ran them a little bit too hard. And he's kind of feeling the effects right now, just dropping multiple positions and under fire from Hillbrands too, coming off of 2. Britt looks pretty good there, though, coming off. Gets a little bit of a run on the 86 in front of him, but just seems to be a little bit something missing from that 55.
Remember, being fast on a one-lap pace is not nearly the same as being fast on a long-run pace, and we'll see what Sean's long-run pace will be able to be as we rocket through this thing as we'll continue things on. Looks like Tony Hilbrands may have found the wall out of turn 4. Let Ricky Hart Jr. with a big run through. That was down into turn 1, and a little damage on the right side of the 92 car, so maybe just had a bad exit that allows Big Red through in that Mustang. Cody Welch runs back to the number 7 spot. Whoa, boy, Paul Wilson way low on the racetrack that time by at turn 3. Further in the background, Brian Dees and Michael Thorpe Jr., battling for 9th, and just behind them, David Leakin and Eddie Hagee for 11th. Thorpe to the inside, and a bit of a pinch there from that 17 machine.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be contacts in the middle of 3 and 4 there. They're racing hard for that 9th place position. But hey, every point matters, right? You're racing against all playoff guys here tonight, just about. So every bit you can get, or every leg you can get up on the competition is a big deal. Especially because 15 of them showed up, right? 15 of the 16 showed up. So it's actually not like you're going to gain much time on or much ground on anybody here tonight except for the one no-show. So very important here to finish, in the top 10 or so. Just make sure you're a little bit ahead of everybody else in points.
Boy.
It's Cody Welch with a 6.5, just about gets in the back of Ricky Hart Jr. Gave him a little bit of a nudge to the center of the corner. He was in there way deep on the inside. Going to allow Ricky Hart through. Going to allow Ty Marasco through to pass them both as well.
I've got a very distinct feeling he did not mean to do that, and we'll get a ride on board here as we'll see what happened here to Cody Welch. Was working the back straightaway. He's trying to get Hilbrands. He didn't intend to get all the way up to Hart. Oh, yeah, brake way too late to make that corner.
That's unbelievably close. I mean, they just barely touched. Hart able to hold on to it. Hilbrand's big beneficiary in that one, taking a free couple positions. He was going to lose one to Welch, and he actually... oh, man, Sean Brett's going around on the back straightaway. Got loose coming out of 2. Couldn't correct it down the back. Now in the grass, right in the right way, but that was a weird spin there from Sean Brett.
That was actually... This happened just a few seconds after, so we'll have to back that one up a bit further here. This will be working out of turn 4. And down into 1. I wonder if has he gotten help from Paul Wilson perhaps, or no, looks like he may have just kicked that one sideways all by himself off the banking.
Oh, man.
Again, that crash caught and hooked. Man.
Desperate attempt to save that thing in the last second, but does a good job ripping it down to the inside instead of back up across traffic. That could have been catastrophic for so many guys, but instead, Britt just kind of burns the set of tires he's on. He loses a good bit of track position. So still a tough break for Sean Britt there, falling all the way back now to 14th place in the race, 13th of the playoff drivers. So not looking good early on, but hey, it's a long race, right? We're only 10% of the way through right now. He's still got plenty of time to make up that deficit that he's, kind of dug himself or dug by himself.
Kilroy and Lacey, after that melee, have pulled out a 1.2-second gap over Paul Wilson down in 3rd. Wilson heads up a small train of cars, although you can see again starting to slowly filter further back. And besides the top 2, this is the closest battle of the racetrack. But we do have Lacey making a run for that lead, or Kilroy trying to make a run for that lead, as Benjamin Lacey will take it to the inside at turns 3 and 4. Sends it in deep into the last couple of corners. Sun's in your eyes at this point in time, so always got to be cautious when you're working out of these last couple of corners. Down the front stretch, Kilroy pulls the top, and it looks like he'll hang on.
Yeah, it looks like Kilroy's just starting to struggle a little bit. Lacey's just a little bit quicker, but Kilroy's got that clean air. He's able to pinch Lacey down to the inside of the racetrack. If he just doesn't overdrive the corner, yep, he kind of diamonds it off, comes back down the racetrack just a little bit, and prevents Lacey from getting that run. You can tell Lacey's just a little bit quicker, but Kilroy's running a really, really good defensive race right now.
Kilroy's always been good on defense throughout the entirety of the season. That's been where he has really shone. If he can get out in front, it's very, very difficult to overtake that 41 Camaro. So we'll continue to track this 41 car and see where he'll end up. Still early tonight, as we're not even 20 laps deep. We mentioned that setting sun over the over turns 1 right there, and you can see the lights will be beginning to flick on soon around the Worldwide Technology Raceway before we'll get things off and running properly as you ride aboard with Kilroy all by his lonesome down into turn 3.
Yep, down to 3 and
trouble
4.
behind. Look out. Marasco going sideways, and caution is out. Looks like he has saved it.
Ooh, that could have been big. Marasco had worked his way into the top 5. It was him and Hilbrands that I think got together. couldn't quite tell what happened. We're going to have to get a replay on that, but that was almost big for both those guys. They were both able to hang on to it, only lose a couple of positions. So really good job from both of them.
Take a look back. Well, Marasco's behind Hilbrands here a lap prior to the incident, and we know that Marasco ends up in front of Hilbrands. So there's definitely been some sort of exchange between the two.
Yeah, nothing crazy in 1 and 2. I mean, Marasco's really close, but doesn't really have that big a run through the center of the corner. Able to diamond it off really well, but just enough for him to get to the inside of Hilbrands, going down the back straightaway. Not really too heavy a side drafting, but
just never turned in. It was Hilbrands.
Yeah, he might have.
Yeah.
He might have been a little late. You might have been right. He might have been a little late to turn into the bottom of the racetrack. It was kind of a tough angle to tell. Just the way they came together was really strange, but either way, both of them are all right, so not too bad. But everybody coming down pit road. They got 3 sets of tires behind the pit wall, so I don't know if this is going to be a tire pit stop. They might be wanting to save them. Oh my goodness, I thought people were about to run to those stairs there.
I didn't know you could clip through the stairs. I was about to get nervous too.
I've hit them before. Have they changed that? You can clip through?
They may have.
They shouldn't even be there. But anyway, most of these guys seem to be taking fuel only. We got 3 guys coming out on fuel only, at least. I don't know if Ricky Hart Jr. also did it, but a couple guys further back.
Fuel only all the way back to Benjamin Lacey. He was the first driver that took tires.
Okay. Well, then split strategy decision. That's going to put, everybody that came down and came out, in the top 6 or 7 are all on old tires, right? They're going to have to make it a while on this set, and that's going to be tough. And they've only got, the guys that pitted only have 2 sets left, so they're going to have to pit around lap 65 and lap 105-ish if you want to cut it in half, or cut it into thirds. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I don't know if that extra tire set's going to come in handy, though.
Yeah, we'll have to see on that one. I'm thinking David Leakey probably took 2 tires because he was in the box for about 10 seconds there. That's telling me a 2 tire stop whenever all the other fuel only stops were only 6 to 7 seconds. And then obviously we mentioned you had Benjamin Lacey taking tires, and then Hilbrands, Welch, Thorpe, and Britt also all took tires. So that's why we see a lot of our front runners now more towards the back end of the field. We've got some of the drivers that were in the back earlier, up in front. Among them, Connor Gibson started stone dead last tonight.
Yep, didn't come down pit road and inherits the race lead, but I don't know. This restart's going to be interesting. I don't like the 2-tire call. I don't think 2 tires really and truly works in the sim. It does under very, specific circumstances, like it's late in the race, there's 10 laps to go, and you just want track position. You can hold off for a few laps on 2 tires, but over the course of a run, man, it is way slower. It's just not worth it. So I'm not really a big fan of the 2-tire call.
Paul Wilson will be alongside Connor Gibson. We'll see what the fresh tires will do. They're only about 20 lap fresher tires. Now that will be some difference, but will it be worth it to pit this early on? Well, we'll find out as we'll work into the Geico restart zone this time by, and the green flag will fly once more for the Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Gibson really does not get a good jump there. I mean, Paul Wilson's all the way side by side from P2 on the inside. Not even giving Gibson a chance here. Wilson moving to the inside of the racetrack. A little bit faster through the center. Now they're 3 wide for second place here. Marasco, Kilroe, Gibson. They're all going to get out on the other side fine. Marasco up to P2, but Paul Wilson up to the race lead.
Paul Wilson takes the race lead early. Everybody else slides into turn 3. Oh, trouble! Marasco runs into the back of Paul Wilson for the lead. Wilson going to be spinning around, and that will be caution number 2 on the afternoon. And, well, there's no better way to put that. Marasco took him out.
Man, he drove it in there deep, and they're both way up the racetrack. That's a tough one in the middle of 3 and 4. I mean, Wilson, he was giving him plenty of room.
They both didn't take tires. I don't know what to make about that one.
I don't know if I have any better words either for you. That's a tough one this early.
He just ran him clean over and kept on going, and I'm pretty sure he maintained the race lead because of the caution out before he went down. And There's room below, there's room above. Oh, that's
I mean, Marasco got into that
early
corner
on.
so good, right? I don't even think that. I don't like. There was obviously no intent behind that. He misjudged it, but he got into the corner so good, and that thing looked like it was going to wrap perfectly fine for him. And Wilson just backed it up more, maybe saving tire a little bit more than Marasco was at the beginning portion of the run here, which I understand because you got to run these tires really late. You've already put 20 laps on them, and you know, you're kind of expecting to put them through a whole nother run there, staying out on the older tires. So I can see what Wilson was going for, but Marasco was thinking about going a little bit quicker, and it's just unfortunate this early in the race.
Well, yellow flag is out on lap 24 of 150. Caution flag number 2. We'll take a step back. You're watching the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series on Green Flag TV. Welcome back to the Worldwide Technology Raceway, coming to the conclusion of our second yellow flag of the afternoon. And this one didn't even come a lap before we went green from the first one that came out on lap 18. Ty Marasco has the race lead. He has opted for the outside. Dalton Kuro down in second. The furthest driver down that's taking tires under the pit stops would be that of Tony Hilbrand, who runs in seventh.
Benjamin Lacey right there with him. Just the are in the same row, so both those guys on tires trying to come through. Kind of a fight between the two, right? You're going to cycle out in front of everybody, but it's about losing as little amount of time to everybody else, and fighting each other for that race win. So if this thing runs green, they're in a pretty prime position.
Pace car is in a pit road, and once again we'll work our way off the final corner. And we'll give this one another shot. Green flags back up in the air.
Marasco with a really good jump from the outside that time. Kilroe's teammate also gets into second place unchallenged. It's going to be Gibson and Ricky Hart Jr. side by side. Gibson got a little twitchy in the middle of one there, getting down into the corner. Gave Ricky Hart a little bit of a scare, but they were able to single file it out for third and fourth place right there. Just behind Ricky Hart, though, looking back to the inside of Connor Gibson into three. Tries to dive it in deep as they're side by side behind him. Brian Dees and Hilbrands. That's the new tires of Hilbrands. He's gotten ahead of Benjamin Lacey. He's trying to make that work as Ricky Hart Jr. gets past Gibson.
Top two again, breaking away, already clear by about a second as we thunder into turns 1 and 2. Brian Dees still looking for the bottom of Hilbrands here as Connor Gibson locks it up, way up and into the outside wall. 3 wide out of turn 2 as Gibson dropping down in hemorrhaging positions right now. Meanwhile, Dalton Kilroe takes it to the inside of Marasco. He'll try to punch through to the race lead in turn 3.
Yep, Kilroe to the inside, throttles up through the center of the corner, trying to get a little bit of an edge on Marasco coming out. Able to nose ahead just barely, but Marasco is probably going to have that run down the front straightaway, get a little bit of the side draft. It's going to be about who outbreaks who into one and who can make the corner. So difficult to make the corner on the outside whenever the other guy's just driving in as deep as he can, and Marasco's going to have to give it up, but Benjamin Lacey was hitting the wall entering turn 1 there. Hilbrands has got through, and they're 3 wide. Benjamin Lacey back in the wall off of 2.
Trouble, Connor Gibson spinning in the background. Caution is out. He'll rebound right into Scott. Sure goes down. He'll keep it off the inside wall. But Dalton Kilroe will take the race lead. They were definitely 3 wide entering turn numbers 3 and 4. And we'll get another look at this one here. This all happened working out of turn 2.
You see Thorpe just kind of dove it down to the bottom 3 wide. Nothing between them so far going into 1. Benjamin Lacey way up the racetrack. Able to keep it out of the wall, but then pounds it coming out. And then further behind, Gibson way up the racetrack as well. Hits the wall. Wilson really nowhere to go. Gets into the back of him and spins him right around. Schuer also nowhere to go again as Gibson came back down the racetrack. But that was like multiple incidents going on at the same time. I thought it was going to be something big between Lacey and Dees, but it ended up being further back in the pack. Gibson getting turned right around.
Conchura locked it down. Did a good job keeping it off of the inside wall. And again, this all started with Connor Gibson getting loose off of turn 2. And, well, I say loose, he rebounded into the wall after locking it up and going in deep. You can tell me he's putting too much wheel angle into that car.
He's tight, man. He is so tight.
He's been tight all practice. I mean, he was complaining about that a lot during the practice session earlier on throughout the first hour or so. Tight, 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 and his biggest complaint, I can't make the corner.
Yeah, I feel like you got to do a lot of your turning under braking. Like, your braking has to be what rotates your race car at this racetrack. There's just, I don't know, you got to turn the wheel so hard to get it through the center of the corner. You got to get as much of it done with the brake pedal instead of the steering wheel. And I think he's just driving it in really deep into the corner and throttling it up really early.
Well, again, the big problem was the steering angle. I mean, take a look at this one. We'll take a look at this again. Look here down into, look at how far he's cranking that wheel sideways. Now, move up to a driver like Paul Wilson in the same corner and compare the steering angle. You'll see how much little it is.
And that's kind of what I was talking about, though. Like,
it's a world. He's turning too much, and the tires are slipping.
So I agree with the tire slipping, but it's also happening because he's hitting the gas too much, which is making him have to turn the wheel that much. He's thinking, okay, if I hit the gas and turn the wheel more, then it's going to rotate the car, but he is just throttling it up way too hard in the middle of the corner, and you know, the car just won't rotate at that point. It doesn't matter how much wheel you put into it, the thing ain't gonna turn. I mean, go to the centripetal, I can't even say the word, whatever that damn circle word is. Thank you so much. My goodness, that track, man, you can learn so much from driving around in circles on that track. It's insane. Just figure out, like, there's so much you can learn with that thing. Great tool.
I think you're mostly right, and I am, for those that know my style of driving, I am about to sound like a massive hypocrite here because I am guilty of the exact same thing in any late model stock race I run in. I can't turn to save my life either when the tires wear down, but slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That is an adage that can apply to so much, no more so than oval racing.
Well, in that circuit, that circle circuit, that's all I'm going to say. Man, for a track like Gateway that's almost flat, just like that circuit, you can learn so much just how to get around these corners. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Well, I mean, you say there's not a lot of banking here, and it's pretty flat. Trying to walk up 11 degrees of banking, it's a lot more than cameras will let you in on. Green flag is back in the air as we're back to racing action. Kilroy fires it down in the turn numbers 1 and 2, and he is well clear for the lead this time around.
Yeah, so easy to overdrive that corner, especially whenever you're on a different braking point than normal on the restart. You're going a little bit slower. You can drive it in a little bit deeper. Sometimes that just lures you in a little bit, and you go a little bit too deep, go way up to the wall. That time from Kilroy didn't quite see it. Thought the third place driver of Eddie Hagee was maybe going to be a little bit too high, but he was able to get the ship righted and get it back down to the bottom of the racetrack as we've got a tight fight right here between Hillbrands, Thorpe Jr., and Ricky Hart Jr. on the inside. I believe Hillbrands and Thorpe Jr. both coming through on new tires. So that's essentially your race for the lead if this thing cycles out currently for the P5 position, or sorry, P4 position, as Thorpe Jr. is getting by Hillbrands, but Hillbrands fighting hard on the outside, trying to keep that spot.
Thorpe pushing up from the bottom, but gives Tony Hillbrands enough room to work with. They'll continue to battle out for 4th and 5th down the back stretch and into 3 and 4. The Amsoil Camaro still hugging that inside lane right down by the red and white curving, the ripple strips, and feel like Thorpe will clear for 4th. We now single filed out all the way back to Brian Dees in a side-by-side battle with Sean Britt.
Yeah, Britt trying to recover from that earlier mistake. That caution was a big blessing for him, able to kind of get back with the rest of the pack. Now making moves, you can tell that Britt has a lot of speed, especially in the short run. Just can he hang on to it through the whole run? Can he prevent the mistakes? because I mean it is the round of 16, right? You don't have to finish first in this round. You don't have to finish second. You just got to finish 11th. So you just don't need to finish last of all these guys. So for Britt, you just got to think, hey man, hold it together a little bit better on this run and see if we can just stay in the top 10. As it looks like Eddie Haggie's losing out to 3rd place right now as Michael Thorpe Jr. is looking to his inside down the front straightaway, going down to turn 1.
I think that's a really good thing to know, right? Is the fact that a lot of the times, you know, when you hit playoff season, there's that mentality that kicks in. Okay, winning is everything. I have to win. No, you don't. You just got to be better than 12th place in the points. And if you've been in the top 5 points all season long, you shouldn't have a problem with that, especially if you weren't in the winning is everything mentality back in the regular season.
Yeah, if you're just running your naturally consistent pace and you're top 5, you should get through this round, no problem. Now, if you wreck out of one of these races and cause yourself that issue, then okay, well then you were just driving too hard. You weren't kind of just taking what the cart was giving you, where your talent level's at, and you tried pushing a little bit too hard. I mean, we've seen that plenty of times this year. And you just got to finish these things, get to the championship race. That's all that matters. You can throw all the risk that you want at that championship race, but first you got to be consistent and get there.
And that's, of course, where we get those wild card rounds in as well, right? The road courses, some of the short tracks, particularly that of Martinsville. The super speedways, especially the super speedways, are absolutely massive for stuff like that. And we don't really have any of those wild card races here in the round of 16. I mean, we have the Circuit of the Americas. It's a road course. It's different, but I think the trends are going to be about the same. The real wild card race in the playoffs comes to the round of 12, Talladega, a track where anything and everything can, has, and will happen.
Yeah, having a wild card like that in the middle of the playoffs it's a tough
As a
ask.
cutoff
I mean,
race.
but it's also a big, it's a wild card, but it's also a big opportunity, right? So like if you've had a bad round, if you're in that round of 12, maybe you're the 11th, you're the 12th place guy. You go in there and win that race, who cares? It doesn't matter if you finish 9th or 10th and the points are moving on to the next round. So it just really opens up that opportunity to anybody to kind of punch their ticket to that Elite 8. And then at that point, you have one good round and you're in the championship race, and then you just need one more good race. So I honestly kind of feel like that's what we saw in real life this year, right, with Blaney. So it's definitely doable. If they can do it in real life, you can do it in the sim.
Well, except for mispainting a restart zone. You can't do that in the sim.
Oh, my goodness.
I am never going to let NASCAR live that down. How you manage to fumble that is beyond me. And how you don't even notice until it's race day. That takes talent. The FIA couldn't mess up that bad. And we know how the FIA is.
I mean, that was one of the biggest blunders, and that truck race ended up sucking. But anyway, Ty Marasco trying to get through to the race lead on Kilroe. Really tight racing battle between the teammates. They make contact.
No!
Kilroe turns Marasco head on into the outside wall. That was teammates battling for the lead.
You know what we were just talking about with, I was just talking about with guys up there. We were talking about how a lot of drivers have curses about running up in front. Ty Marasco, I mentioned, he has one. Whenever he's in the lead, the rules state he cannot win. And it's hard to believe it to be false when something like this happens. That was a heavy hit into the wall.
And Kilroe definitely came down the racetrack. You're going to kind of, if you look at the black strip, it's a little hard to tell from this angle, but there's a black strip on the racetrack, and Kilroe definitely came down across the strip and kind of took out his teammate there for the race lead. I hate to say it.
Marasco hits the apron in 3, drifts up slightly, starts to turn it back down, and then all of a sudden straight and then right.
And he had the exact same line on the exit of the corner the entire way through. He was holding a steady wheel. We're going to see there's a black strip. You saw it a little bit there. It disappears for a while and it comes back. A little bit different. Yeah, that black strip. You see his right side tire gets down to the black stripe, but he started the clip with the left side tire. As soon as the stripe started, it was the left side. So he just came across that on the exit of the corner. I don't blame him. He's trying to get the runoff, trying to get the side draft, but he just pinched a little bit too much there, especially on a teammate.
Insult to injury is that he got away scot-free, right? I mean, that I think is the biggest thing, right, is when the guy that turns you has absolutely no consequence effectively for that whole mess, and that is about as harsh of an impact as you could take into those outside walls.
I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen somebody wreck there at Gateway. I mean, if that happened in real life, that would be I mean, that would hurt so bad. One of the hardest hits I feel like you could take.
Yeah, I've seen people wreck there, but not in that type of fashion.
Yeah. Like rear end coming around because they got loose or something, right? Not like a getting turned across the racetrack.
Yeah, well, or they've been hit and then spin and back it into the wall. But yeah, never. Yeah. Actually, I think the closest one. I think I actually have seen something similar to that. It was in the 2016 Truck Series race, I believe. Matt Kraft. It was a multi-truck pileup into turn 3. Now it wasn't nearly that violent, but Matt Crafton had gotten hooked by a spinning truck and spun it into the outside wall, side on impact, not head on impact, but fairly similar, although the speeds were significantly lower.
Well, if the shoe fits, it feels like it fits, close enough. So I'll give that. That was an oddly specific one for you to randomly remember, just a random truck race from 2016. So
I know. I know. It's odd for me to remember that, and yet I can't do simple arithmetic when it comes to figuring out how many laps we have left half the time.
Hey, how many laps are left?
Can I phone a friend? I am being genuinely serious. Hold on.
We're
108.
Coming to
108. I did not look that up on my phone. 108.
We're coming to 108.
I did not look that up on my phone.
I'll take your word for it.
Ay.
This is my favorite part of the show every week.
Well, yeah, because I'm not the one that's taking the fun out of you for once. Michael Thorpe Jr., Dalton Kilrow will be on the front row. Pace car is off, and we'll enter the Geico restart zone. Green flags up in the air. We're back underway.
And Thorpe Jr. had the newer tires. Kilrow is just kind of a sit and duck up here, in all honesty. I mean, he's just got newer tires behind him. Yeah, they're old at this point, but they're still way newer than his are, and Thorpe's got that inside line, able to get through. Now Lacey challenging for P2. They're tight coming off the corner, but it looks like Lacey has enough grip to stay even all the way down the back straightaway, even though Kilrow had the run on the outside. Lacey now using the preferred groove of the inside line all the way through 3 and 4 on newer tires. I mean, he should wrap this way better than Kilrow. He's got a little bit of dirty air, but it looks like he's going to get it done in the second half of the corner. Benjamin Lacey up to P2, now chasing down Thorpe.
Running in towards turn 1, approaching the 1/3 distance. Michael Thorpe Jr. jumps hard on the brakes, and we start to thunder around. Cody Welch, Tony Hillbrands, both trying to size up their own attacks on Dalton Kilrow. Sean Britt skating to the inside, and here we go. Lacey trying to go for the lead on Thorpe.
Thorpe Jr. was squirrely out at turn 2, barely held on to that thing, barely held on to the lead, but he's way up the racetrack in 3 and 4. He's having to put a lot of wheel into that thing, keeping that off the wall. Just about nicks it, gets a little loose again. Lacey got a little bit of a run off of that, but he's not going to be able to get to the quarter panel of Thorpe Jr. going into 1, but this was his trouble spot last time by. Thorpe had a terrible turn 2. This time getting through turn 1, it looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit tidier. Comes up the exit of the racetrack, and he's clean off the 2.
Trouble, Tony Hillbrands. Look out. Sliding sideways, back onto the racetrack. No caution. Will keep it green, but Hillbrands broke loose out of left field as Lacey's still looking to challenge for the lead.
I mean, just out of nowhere, Hillbrands just completely kicks loose coming out of turn 2. You see he's in a battle with Kilrow. He's way up the racetrack. I mean, he was way up. It got a little twitchy coming out of the corner.
Good save, though.
These next-gen cars, man, I'm telling you, if you're in the Xfinity car, you can stick that right rear quarter panel out a little bit. You can just let off the gas a little bit, straighten the wheel out, and you're fine. This next-gen car, it's gone. Like, just for him to save it that well is extremely impressive. Probably couldn't do it on the old grass, but the new grass saving him a little bit. Still, crazy impressive save from Hillbrands to get it, that to save it to that extent. That thing should have been gone.
That was a great save from Tony Hillbrands. He's down a lot of positions and he has smoked his Goodyears, but I'm sure with how this race has been going, he'll get another caution and he'll be able to get back up into the running order. So Thorpe, Lacey remain 1-2. Lacey has not been able to really attack for the lead ever since that initial run. Now you got guys like Dalton Kilrow and Cody Welch that are starting to pair up with one another as well as they'll charge down to the 3 and 4. And all the while, all the side-by-side battling again in the back as Greenwell locks it up, and Marasco about to run over Connor Gibson a second time.
Yeah, Marasco just got done getting turned, and now he's going to stick it 3 wide, coming off a turn 4 through the middle in the back of the pack. You can tell Marasco's not happy. I mean, he's just ready to get back through the pack, get back up to where he was running. You know, he fought his way up to the lead, used a little bit of strategy, but now he's stuck behind the slower car, Gibson here, and just has not been able to get by. It looks like Gibson's going to slide up the top of the racetrack and block off Marasco. He gets a little nick coming off the corner. That's going to give the outside to Marasco going down the back straightaway. They're still side by side, though, going down to the 3.
Hey, if you're on the lead lap, you're allowed to battle, and that's what the right that Gibson is exercising here. We've got side-by-side fighting as well for the lead down the front stretch here. Lacey's found the inside of Thor. That was coming into turn 3, and now trying to secure in 1.
Yeah, they're still side-by-side through 1 and 2. Thorpe's going to have that outside line. If he doesn't go a little bit too high, he'll be fine. He just about got there. I mean, he started getting a little sketchy coming out of the corner, but he was just low enough, able to use that run. But don't look now. Cody Welch, I mean, he's been stupid fast all year, whether it's been getting in accidents or losing internet connection. He has had the worst luck I've ever seen anybody have in a league series. But he has had the speed to win these races, and now he's looking down the windshield at 1 and 2, just outside of his view. I mean, it's just right there for him to take. 100 laps to go, though. I mean, we're only a third of the way through this race.
Sean Britt, Dalton Kilroe, Paul Wilson, Ricky Hart Jr., and Eddie Hagee all packed up. Line is starting one big battle pack from 4th on back to about 8th or 9th as we rumble back to 3 and 4. Banked at only 9 degrees compared to turns 1 and 2's 11. The reason why it looks so much flatter, look at how much wide of a radius you get going through here. You don't have to slow down near as much. In fact, you can carry more speed through 3 and 4 than you can in 1 and 2, despite 1 and 2 having more banking.
Yeah, I feel like the same situation kind of applies to Texas 1 and 2. I feel like that thing is not banked at all, but it's really just because it's so wide. But I mean, it is a lot less banking, but still, Kilroe out of the groove, getting passed by multiple guys. I think those tires are starting to hurt him now this late in the run. I'm sure he's nearing that changeover point. As Kevin Foster gets into the back of Leakey there, going into the corner. I thought Kilroe was going to be an innocent bystander on that one, but now Kilroe's falling back all the way to the 10th place position.
Right, so Kevin Foster having a bit of a scare, locked up the left front, but did a good job to keep it out of these guys. Now he'll try to send it down through the opening series of turns. Kilroe and Leakey will remain packed up nose to tail as they rumble to the backstretch. Way up the road, the battle for second started to pick up as Cody Welch has slowly but surely reeled his spot in. Cody Welch, another one of those drivers, week after week after week. He has the momentum to win. He has the speed to win. He has the strategy to win. He has the lead spot. He has everything he needs to win, and then connection problems. Without fail, every single time. We are hoping that it will not be a repeat again here from Illinois.
We're definitely jinxing them. I just want to say it right now. Lap 113, Cody Welch is going to throughput from the server. Calling it. 113 over.
113. That's the over-under, 113?
Yep.
I'll take you on that one.
Oh, I just feel bad for him. But hey, he's still in this one, and he's running down the leaders. I mean, he's P3, and he was a little bit further back not too long ago. He's kind of half that lead in the last couple of laps. Running a little bit higher in turn 1. Just kind of maybe letting the car rotate a little bit through the earlier parts of the corner, using less wheel on exit, allowing himself to get a straighter run off the corner. But Lacey doing a really good job in the dirty air of Thorpe to, really give him a run for his money. It seems like Lacey might be just a little bit quicker at this point.
And Michael Thorpe Jr. has his hands full in that Amsoil Camaro as he'll continue to work through turn numbers 3 and 4. The stadium lights have flicked on over the 1.25 mile speedway over here in Illinois, so we will be racing fully under the lights here before long. Dalton Kilroe will bail out and hit pit road. He is the first driver to make an official run into the lane in his MF Racing Designs number 41. He last stopped way early in this race, back on lap 19, and I find it interesting that he is pitting this early.
Well, you got to think he hadn't put on tires yet. Maybe those things had finally just fallen off the cliff and he couldn't hold on anymore. He was falling through the pack so heavy, I just imagine he was like, okay, we gotta stop the bleeding at this point, so just come down. I feel like everybody else is going to wait another 10 laps, so he's probably going to cycle to the lead, but he will be way slower than everybody else after that.
I was going to say, right, I mean, yeah, he's going to have more pace, but he's definitely lost a lap by now. So we'll have to see where this is going to put him when everything is said and done and once everybody else cycles through. Checking down on the battle between Connor Gibson and Brian Dees. scrapping for 11th on the race course. Side by side down that back straightaway, as you had seen Kilroad just leaving pit road. Connor Gibson's had an okay race so far, nothing to write home about, but he's not running last, and he looks like he has managed to find some pace from what he had in practice. Now running up here with the back portion of this field.
Yeah, a couple of guys fighting here for position. I mean, this is some hard battling here for 10th, and that's because all these guys are playoff drivers. I mean, they all got to fight for every position, especially that far back, because that's near the cut line. So that's a big deal way back there. But Eddie Hagge looking to the inside of Paul Wilson for P4, but it looks like Sean Britt might be challenging on the outside. Really good recovery job from Sean Britt so far. I mean, for him to be able to, work his way back up to 6, and look at this battle right in front of him. I mean, Paul Wilson, Eddie Hagge basically kissing through the corner. I mean, just leaning all over each other. Sean Britt trying to figure out which one to follow down the front straightaway. Looks like he's going to pick Paul Wilson on the outside. Just kind of gives him a little bit of a breather coming into the corner, allowing them to battle side by side as Eddie Hagge gets tight through the center of the corner, allows Paul Wilson to go, and now it's going to let Sean Britt get to his outside.
Careful, careful, as we work down into turns 3 and 4. Britt clears from the top, and he'll slot into the top 5 position now as he'll dive it down right into turn numbers 3 and 4. Looks like he may be trying to make a run at that 4th place as well to get around Paul Wilson, but Eddie Hagge trying to battle back, looks for the outside. Britt covers him off, though, leaves no room to work with. So it'll be back down to the 55 and the 97 as we work into turns 1 and 2. And you can see Ricky Hart Jr. now starting to get some momentum here as well. You take a look at the speed differences in the backstretch there, and even coming around through turn 2, you could see the difference in speeds just with what lines these guys were taking.
Man, we've got a side-by-side battle for the race lead. Benjamin Lacey's looking to the outside of Michael Thorpe Jr. through 3 and 4. The inside hadn't been working for him, so now he's looking to the outside. He'll get a decent run off this corner, but I don't think he's going to be able to get back to Thorpe's inside before turn 1. He's got a little bit of momentum on him. He's got the draft, so it's going to keep building, but he's not going to quite be able to get there unless he just crazy kamikaze dive bombs, thinks twice of it, falls back a little bit further back. But Eddie Hagge trying to get that spot back. He lost it out to Sean Britt whenever he was battling Paul Wilson. Made a little bit of a mistake, cost himself 2 spots instead of 1, but now he's trying to get that 1 back. Sean Britt still on the outside on the back straightaway, but Hagge's just having to fall in line, was not able to get the move done, and now Ricky Hart Jr. is trying to pick up the scraps.
55, 97, 28. The numbers of the 3 drivers running 5th, 6th, and 7th at the moment. We have, Britt Hart into the outside wall there to turn 4. And that could open up the door for Eddie Hagge. He'll shoot to the inside this time again and try to pick off the spot for the Apex Sim Racing number 55 Camaro, and this time he's through. So Hagge picks up 5th. Now he'll be, see if the 97 car can potentially charge down Paul Wilson, sitting about 0.8 of a second up the road. We have 89 laps to go this time by.
Yeah, Hagge had to get Sean Britt had to get way out of the gas and wanted to really get back on the brakes. He just kind of overshot that corner a good bit. He gave the position away. Now he's going to give the second one away to Ricky Hart Jr. Kind of a tough couple laps for Sean Britt. He had been doing such a good job, kind of rebounding from his issue, but now he's lost 2 spots in quick succession. Going back to P7, still not too bad. It's not like he's falling way back. That's ahead of a lot of championship guys, but I don't know, that might be a sign of the tire starting to die. That changed over pretty quick from him passing somebody to getting past, so I'd be a little bit worried if I was the driver of the 55.
Once again, Lacey looking to the inside. This time he's there as Thorpe misses the entry at turn 3. Lacey going to try to push to the front. He pokes the nose ahead, but here comes that number 34 battling back around the top of 3 and 4 with the momentum side by side down the front stretch. And down in the turn number 1, contact again, and muscling the 34 up the track is Benjamin Lacey. And that 7 car, oh boy, loose again off of turn 2, looking like Thorpe might be able to clear.
That was a nervy moment from Thorpe Jr. coming out of turn 1. Lacey's going to smartly back off going into 3. Thorpe overshoots it again way up the racetrack, going to allow Benjamin Lacey to get to the inside. Once again, coming off at turn 4. Thorpe's a little bit further alongside of him than he was last time. Actually has a little bit of the advantage coming off of turn 4 that time. But still, they're still side by side going into 1. Lacey's got a good opportunity here. They're still down there, but Lacey just dives into the corner, takes the position away, slides in front of Thorpe, and Thorpe puts it back on the inside, coming out of 2. Somehow Thorpe Jr. is going to take the lead back.
That's how you go for the good old undercut right there. Thorpe wasted no time. In fact, he lifted a bit earlier just so we could stamp in the throttle, knowing Lacey would slide up and open up the gap. So Thorpe back to the bottom at 3 and 4. He'll try to battle for the lead, and it's looking like Thorpe will retain out of turn number 4. That's a defense right there from the Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Oh, how frustrated do you think Benjamin Lacey is?
Very.
I would be irritated, but nothing Thorpe Jr.'s done is erratic. Nothing's wrong. It's not unpredictable. I mean, he is just putting on a defensive clinic against Benjamin Lacey right here. The only problem is there's still an unbelievable amount of time left to go in this thing. There's still 86 laps to go. We got plenty of time. This almost doesn't even mean anything. But, man, if they were doing this with 5 laps to go, I'd be at the edge of my seat.
Take a look back at this one, as this was again working into turn numbers 3 and 4, as we'll back it up just a little bit further, as this is going to be, I was at turn 1 the last time by, pardon me. So again, this is going to be diving down in towards turn numbers 3 and 4. Watch here as Lacey shot for the inside, and then Thorpe is able to pull around. Is this still a lap earlier? This was a lap earlier still. So I do apologize. I am trying to get this figured out here as best as I can, as that was Lacey. I was trying to get a look at that undercut and see if we could go on board for the over-under. It doesn't look like we'll be able to get that, though. But tell you what, the fight was epic, and you can tell that 34 car is running good.
Yeah, but he's had some nervy moments coming out of 2. You can tell he's not quite as quick as Lacey, but he's just doing a hell of a job defending his position. I mean, it's a low banking flat racetrack that is typically hard for these cars to pass at. So, you know, clean air is a lot, man. It means a lot. And putting somebody else in that dirty air means so much. So for Thorpe to hold on to it like this, I mean, it's doing him wonders. It's hurting Lacey's tires to where, you know, Lacey might fall off at some point, but just being able to keep that car in front and keep Lacey in check with the rest of the field, you know, Thorpe's doing a big job, a big service to everybody in the field, keeping this thing so close, because I do feel like Lacey would be able to pull away if he was out front. But he just hasn't been able to get it done.
Wilson, Hart, Hagee also in a scrap of their own for 4th, 5th, and 6th. And with all that battling, they were able to close in a little bit towards the leading group, but so far have found themselves sliding backwards on the timing sheets. Cody Welch has lost touch of the main group as well, and he is about to be caught by this pack as well. Hart way to the inside of Paul Wilson will try to pick up 4th as they work their way through turn numbers 3 and 4. And again, a drag race down the main pit straight here as Ricky Hart Jr. to the bottom at 1 and 2. Can Wilson pull the outside? I think he's way too far up to do so, and he will not be able to. Almost wiped out by Eddie Hagee.
That was close coming off of 2. I thought they were going to come together, Hagee and Wilson, but luckily for those two guys, not quite. But, man, every time I look at the leaders, Thorpe Jr. is missing turn 3, and Benjamin Lacey's pulling to his inside and somehow gets a good run off the corner, but sometimes isn't able to quite finish the move. That time, Thorpe didn't quite miss the corner. He still gave Lacey a little bit of time. You can tell Lacey is just so good through 3 and 4. Actually has the run where he's going to peek to the inside going into turn 1. Can he outbrake Thorpe this time? Thorpe late on the brakes, late to turn in, takes that air away from Lacey, but Lacey able to get to the bottom of the racetrack through 1 and 2 a little bit better than the driver of the 34. Had a decent run out, but was not able to hold the momentum, and Thorpe Jr. actually comes back and holds the lead again, but again, it's been turn 3. Man, Thorpe Jr. has missed this corner more times than I can count.
And he's missed it again in 3 and 4 this time by, and Lacey not wasting time. He is through to the point. Thorpe trying to battle back for the top shelf, and he'll go for that crossover back down to turn 1. Lacey, though, has the lead for now, down in the turns 1 and 2. And this time, Thorpe backs out, lets him have it. Finally, Benjamin Lacey secures with the race lead, just shy of halfway.
Does he? Oh, he got loose out of 2. I thought that was going to be Thorpe's chance. It might be still. He's got the run coming up the back straightaway. You thought Thorpe Jr. back to the inside of Benjamin Lacey. They're still racing hard for this thing, man. It's not over yet.
Brian Dees has found pit road in the meantime as Thorpe will take it down to the inside of 4, trying to pick up the lead again. Cody Welch trying to fend off Kilrow just behind all of this mess in the battle for 3rd. But Lacey still holds secure. May have bobbled, but a bobble's not a spin, and he'll be able to keep that car pointed in the right direction and charging forward now that he's in clean air.
I think maybe the clean air is what caught him out. He wasn't used to having all that air on his nose, and wasn't used to being able to actually turn the race car, and he got it out of turn 2, and it just kicked sideways on him. But now I think he's going to pull away. Thorpe completely missed turn 3 once again. Going to allow Lacey to get a big run here through the center of the corner, gap him by a wide margin. Kilrow still lapped down after that earlier pit stop, trying to unlap himself before they even come down for a pit stop. I mean, this is an even bigger undercut than I thought it was going to be. They've stayed out, what, 20 more laps than Kilrow at this point?
Yeah, they certainly have, and I mean, it's worth noting that a good chunk of the field did come down at lap 40 as well for pit stops, and that may be why we're seeing these guys stay out as long as they did. For now, Dalton Kilroe's last stop was on lap 54, and he did not stop on lap 40. He was one of the drivers that stayed out under the lap 40 caution, so that's why we see him now with all that pace. That may be why he had to pit. It's more in fact that he had to that early on. You saw Brian Dees pit a little while ago, but he got caught with a speeding penalty.
I'm not surprised.
And
who would have thought?
Down a lap.
Oh,
again.
see, that's another over/under. How many speeding penalties are we gonna get tonight? I mean, well, a couple of them are pit, so we might get a couple more right here. The leaders: Benjamin Lacey, Michael Thorpe.
I feel bad because again.
Oh, Benjamin Lacey's in the grass. It's not the bad grass though. I thought we were still in the bad grass.
Not the bad grass. Not the bad grass.
Ooh, if that was the bad grass, he was gone, man.
But again, I feel bad for Brian Dees because, again, we remember how I mentioned about we were talking earlier with Ty Marasco before this race about, drivers that are cursed when it comes to trying to go for the race win. Well, Dees is another one of those drivers. His case, it's speeding penalties instead of connection problems. And, living up to the name of that
Pocono
one.
5 times.
That too. Hart and Welch, meanwhile, battling for the on-track race lead.
Yeah, Welch had done a good job passing Thorpe Jr. before the pit stop, and now Cody's kind of struggling a little bit. Ricky Hart getting by him. Eddie hanging out of his inside also coming off of turn 4. You got to think for Cody Welch, maybe he just didn't hang onto those tires quite as long as he needed to. Ran a little bit too hard to keep up with the front two, and now he's kind of struggling at this point. And those guys that he was racing earlier have come down for an earlier pit stop, so they're going to be able to jump him a lot in terms of time on the racetrack. He'll have a little bit newer tires, but I don't know. It's going to be a pretty hefty task to run him back down on the next big green flag run.
Halfway home in the meantime, but we'll, of course, stick with this until the pit stop window is complete now that we are entering it in full force. Based on this, though, and this is the first real full pit stop window we've been able to see all race long, right? I'm thinking fuel runs are looking to be about 50-ish laps, give or take.
I think that's a fair assessment. That's kind of what we've seen people do so far. So I feel like you're probably right on the number there, 50 to 60. Maybe some guys are short bitting a little bit because they're cutting it into thirds, right? We know if you pit it on what was lap 25-ish.
Tires versus fuel.
Yeah. If you split it in thirds, you wanted to pit at 65 and then 105 or somewhere in that window. So I think we're seeing a lot of guys just kind of split it like that. I don't know what the exact fuel limit is, but I think they're paying a little bit more attention to the tires at this point than the gas. But I'm really interested in Kilbrough. You know, how much of a lead is he going to have over these guys? Actually, it doesn't look like much because Lacey's come out and he's only 2 seconds back. So that did not even do Kilbrough much good.
I was going to say, if a gap, because remember, you still have everybody else in front of him that has to stop as well.
Yeah, I mean, there will be one more run for Kilbrough where, you know, he's going to pit earlier than everybody else. So he'll gain a little bit more time on that one. We'll probably cycle back to the race lead once again, or at least close. So maybe he'll have a chance at the end of this thing, but I think that he might just be playing the caution game, hoping that after that final pit stop, that caution comes out and he's the only guy with tires sitting behind the pit wall.
Cody Welch is into pit road. That would be for a fuel stop. He last pitted on lap 23, so we can expect everybody else to be pitting within, I'd say, about lap 90-ish, give or take. Would be a good assessment when those guys will come in, and then they should be good to go until the end of this race.
Yeah, they might be able to if they pit it on lap 40. That might be the strategy play that we're seeing a couple of these guys do. Staying out still, Ricky Hart Jr., Eddie Hagge, Paul Wilson, David Leakey, Kevin Foster, Scott Schuer. I mean, a lot of these guys, they could have done something a little bit different.
Well, as I say that, Eddie Hagge pits, and he last stopped on 40. David Leakey is in as well. So maybe not. The strategy game continues to get interesting here from the Worldwide Technology Raceway as more and more drivers find their way into the pits for service. This will now leave just the top 4 that have not come down for a stop on this green flag run as of right now. So Scott Schuer, Kevin Foster, Paul Wilson, and Ricky Hart Jr. are the outliers.
They're coming down now?
Yeah, I was going to say, looking like they're, well, at least Hart is almost finding the pit wall. Same with Paul Wilson having to lock it down.
That was a close one for Ricky Hart. I thought that might have been our second speeding penalty. It was mighty tight, and he came in there hot, trying to get every little bit that he could on a little bit different strategy than a couple guys. Able to do it, though. Did a good job getting to pit road. Could have been a whole lot worse, that's for sure.
Kevin Foster bail this time? He will not. He will stay out. One more lap on the racetrack. And now Foster is the last, Foster and Scott Schuer are the last two cars we were waiting on to pit.
I have such a heavy hatred for racetracks that make you take an access road to pit road. I know that's totally off the wall, but I hate it, man. I hate it.
Really? Explain. Because that is pretty much every track in existence I want you to know. That's not an oval.
Off is fine. Well, I'm, specifically talking about ovals. I get it in road courses, but, like, coming off of pit road is totally fine. But coming onto pit road, you're trying to get so much, man. You're trying to come to pit road fast, getting on the brakes late, trying to make some time, but then get it onto an even flatter surface. I mean, it's just a different challenge, right? You can still make up a lot of time, but I don't know, it doesn't feel as
Well, where are you going to go here? You got grass on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, you just, I don't know, you build it where there's not grass right there so you can cut across the apron last second. Like Quinn Half at Texas.
Well, there is a concrete spot that you can't cut down across. You can actually do that. There is no, well, let's go on board with Dalton Kilmer. Watch the left-hand side. You'll see it right about there. It's a bit late to be slowing down that much to get to pit road.
Yeah, that's such a tight turn. There's no way you're making
Well,
that.
It's for the pace car to pull the pit road. Pavement is expensive.
See,
it's expensive to put pavement down.
I'm not a fan. I think it takes a lot of money to cut grass every week.
But not as much as putting down pavement and maintaining
we were talking about this.
ultra
Gateway
winter.
only has 6 races a year, so they'd only got to cut it 6 times.
You have to remember, though, trouble on the racetrack. Sean Britt going around off of turn 2.
No.
That brings out caution 3, but going back to the discussion, remember, we're in Illinois. It gets cold in the wintertime here. So all
That's
that
fair.
pavement cracks up. I mean, have you seen all the work that Indianapolis Motor Speedway has to do to preserve their track during the winter times?
I can't say I have, but they need to suck it up because I want to come to pit road like a man.
Well, you can. You're just brake checking the entire field while doing it. Oh, we may have had help here,
That's fair.
Oh, never. Oh, well, bit of contact with Cody Welsh. He was already losing it well beforehand. That's an awkward way to spin out off of turn 4 like that, or 2 like that, to the outside wall.
Yeah, a little bit of a weird one there from Britt. Just unfortunate to see it happen to him twice now. He's dug himself out of that hole, able to run into the top 10 now. And that drops him a lap down too. So it's not like he's even stuck on the lead lap. Kevin Foster with the strategy play stays out way late and traps a couple of guys a lap down. Tony Hillbrands, David Leakey, Jason Greenwell, Sean Britt all got trapped a lap down on that one. So that's going to be huge for them. And it traps Brian Dees 2 laps down. So unfortunate for Dees. He's having to... I don't know, that might have just solidified him as just kind of being out of the race. If he could have gotten one back there, maybe, but it's just a tough break there for a couple guys.
Caution flag is out for the 3rd time tonight now, and I am not even wrong by 1. The 5th time the caution flag is out here tonight for the Worldwide Technology Raceway. We'll take a step back. We're back with more from the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series from Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Lights are out. Benjamin Lacey has opted for the outside on the restart. So we'll get set to go back to green flag racing. Connor Gibson, Sean Britt, Brian Dees still stuck one lap down. Pace car is off, and we get set to go back to green flag racing once again.
Yep, coming to 62 laps to go. Benjamin Lacey hits the gas pedal. Easy restart from Lacey. Completely clearing Thorpe Jr. Cody Welch actually had a really good jump there from P4 on the outside. Able to clear Thorpe Jr. before they even get to turn 1. Move Cody Welch up to P2. We saw he had pretty good short run pace, man. I thought that he was pretty quick compared to Lacey. Fell off a little bit hard at the end, but hey, we only got 60 laps to go. Just about able to make it on gas. I imagine we might see some savers here towards the back of the pack, but Cody Welch had that short run speed. We might see him use it right here trying to get past Benjamin Lacey.
We might have one more stop left based on all of the pit stop runs we've seen, but we'll have to wait and see on that deal as the rest of these guys hightail off of turn 4. Connor Gibson hard into the wall off of turn 4 that time by, but still looking strong otherwise. Thorpe to the inside of Welch, trying to pick up the number 2 spot. Cody Welch pulls clear easily with that high side banking off of turn number 2, and again Gibson into the wall.
Yeah, Gibson having a hard time getting around turn 2 right there, but oh man, again, I just saw him skate across to the inside of the racetrack. I thought he was wrecking, but he's fine. He's just pulling it off. I think he's cutting his losses. I don't blame him.
He may have been meatballing though from those, because those are pretty sizable impacts that he took.
That's true. He's taken a couple impacts already, and I do know that it's a
right side. Is that right in front? Did it poked out to you?
It was a little weird. I do know that there is like a consistency issue, right? Like, or it's not an issue, but it's built into the game where the more you hit something, the more likely I can't talk. The more likely it is that it will break. So if I hit something once and it's a barely touch with this new damage model, it doesn't do anything to the body. It doesn't do anything, but it makes it where if you hit it again,
look out!
They're trying to interrupt my stories, man. Paul Wilson, Ricky.
They really are.
But if you hit it again and again and again in the same spot, even if they're all tiny hits, eventually you're still going to break the thing. It's a lot more like the parts breaking rather than the fenders flaring and affecting you aerodynamically. So you can't do it too many times, and maybe he's just done it a couple too many times here tonight.
I do like that Isaac put that in, because that is realistic, right? The more you beat on something, the less reliable it's going to be over the longer period of time, and the more likely it is that it could break at a later point. Now, they just need to get rain, and I don't know if you saw the development update, but
man. It's there, man.
I'm thinking if it's not going to be out by the start of 2024, it'll be out by season 2 of 2024. I think that's almost a guarantee at this point.
Man, I'm excited for the oval refresh, man. We've been needing something different on the oval side of things, so I'm excited to have different lines to use again. That piqued my interest big time. They're actually changing some stuff with the dynamic track, and there's going to be ways to run different lanes. If one lane gets heated up too much from cars running on it the entire time, you got to move to a different one that's going to cool down your tires a little bit, run a little bit quicker. Love to see that. It's a long time coming.
Then you have the possibility of the SRX car making an entry soon to the service. The micro sprint, that's going to be huge for the dirt community and even the asphalt community if they opt to go with the asphalt version of that car as well. I love how much they're starting to branch out more and more. I think the oval side has been left somewhat vacant in recent seasons or so, especially when it comes to the release of new car content. So seeing that is going to be absolutely massive for them.
Yeah, I'm excited for the SRX. What was it? Man, I had something on the top of my mind. Funny, we were just talking about that.
They have the new updated Audi GT3 as well that's making a return.
No, I'm just excited for everything. It's a good time to be on iRacing. I feel like they're really putting a lot of stuff together. Oh, it's career mode. They're making a career mode too. That's branching out. That's something they haven't done.
I saw that. I'm wondering how this is going to work, because I know they have. Well, I know they have AI. I use AI a lot in my spare time, but how is that? Oh boy, Thorpe nearly running over Welch there, but I'm curious how that's going to work. I can't wait for that. That's going to be really fun to play around with.
Something tells me that they've been doing all this on iRacing, practicing for that console game they're making. I think they knew they were getting that license for a while, and they were starting to make stuff. The AI, for instance, they've come out with AI out of nowhere, and now all of a sudden, oh yeah, we're making this console game, so we can probably just port over the AI or do something like that. So, or use what they've learned.
I was going to say, still can't wait for Dirt AI to finally come at some point. Probably never, but you know.
They're building it for the ovals and the road courses right now, because that's all that's in the NASCAR game.
Fair enough. A lot of cars still packed up nose to tail as we work through 3 and 4. Lap 97 this time by. Benjamin Lacey clear by 6/10 of a second as we hightail it down the front stretch into turns 1 and 2. Marasco's recovered nicely ever since he got hooked hard into the outside wall about, what, 50, 60 laps ago now? And he is now once again threatening the podium positions.
Yeah, he's back up to P4, but he's under fire from Eddie Haggy. He's got that teammate behind him, but that teammate turned him earlier.
Yeah.
So I'd be a little bit nervous seeing the 41 in my my rearview mirror, but he's going to give up that 4th place spot to Eddie Haggy right here. But our top 5, top 6 are just about under a blanket. Everybody within a second half of each other. Kilroe doing a good job recovering. Marasco, good job. Thorpe Jr., Welch, and Lacey have just kind of solidified themselves as maybe the 3 fastest here tonight at this point, though. They've kind of taken a stranglehold over those top 3 positions over the course of the last 50 laps, and it just doesn't really seem like they're going to give them up. It might take a little bit of a strategy play, a lucky caution to break that up.
Ricky Hart Jr. and Scott Schuer side by side as well with the lone driver that is not in playoff competition. Hart to the inside, Wilson following suit, and they'll pick up spots from that number 29 Ford Mustang as you work out of turns 3 and 4 back to the front stretch. At the moment, a lot of the packs have single filed it out, and they're starting to play it easy here. We might be seeing some drivers looking to maybe conserve a little bit until they can get to a point where they can make it back on just, at the very least, a splash and go, if not all the way. But I still am not convinced we're making it all the way here.
I just wish I had the exact fuel number. I mean, it looked like they were pushing 50 on some of the green flag pit stops. A couple of those guys were really late, but they was stuff to save another 12 on top of that. So I don't know if 50 was their limit or if that was their kind of limit in terms of the tire strategy. I don't know. I feel like maybe there could be somebody trying, but typically, this is a big tell. Typically, the fuel savers are Dalton Kilroe, Ty Marasco. They do crazy strategies like that. And they're running their tails off right now. Oh, man, speaking of running their tails off, Eddie Haggy fishtailing down the back straightaway, able to save it. Only loses 2 positions, but that was a scary moment for the 97.
Take a look at this one as Haggy and Thorpe lost it out of turn number 2, and a beautiful save there from Ty Marasco. Right on board, from Eddie Haggy, right on board the 97 car here.
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one to save.
Yep, just drops down a gear, slams the throttle, and gets back rolling.
I mean, he didn't even lose that much time. I mean, he's still right on the back bumper here, just about of Dalton Kilroe. He's only about half a second back. I mean, that's incredible from Haggy to hang on to that thing. There's no reason that thing shouldn't be sideways in the grass right now, but instead, he only lost a handful of spots. He only lost 2 positions to Marasco and Kilroe, and he's not even that far behind. I mean, those tires are going to be hurting a little bit. It's going to be a little tough, but they're all going to have to pit again at some point. Maybe he just undercuts a little bit, gets a little bit of track position. Maybe he can play the blocking game and hold off some of these guys.
49 laps to go from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. We are now into the final third. Ty Marasco and Dalton Kilroe will continue to duke it out with one another. Tell you what, it's been a fun night. I'm glad to see that Monday night racing is making a return. So many series have started to make their departure as seasons draw to a close. The Speed Cup Series had a barn burn of a finale this past Thursday. The OMSRL Xfinity Series, after they had their championship wrap out 2 weeks ago, saw a quiet finale at the Auto Club Speedway. The GGIL Truck Series, they have their winter series starting up soon, but that won't be for a few weeks yet. So we're basically down to the High Tide Racing League. You've got the Beer League on Wednesdays, and then, of course, the LTAC All-Street Media Cup Series on Fridays. That doesn't mean there's not more coming, though, throughout the winter, especially in 2024. There hasn't been any postings yet on the Green Flag TV website, but that is coming soon. But I'll say right now, the VSCA Association has joined forces with Green Flag TV, and we'll be bringing you the entirety of their Daytona weekend. They're running the full 100% IMSA schedule. So we're running not only just the Roar before the 24, but the Daytona 24 in its entirety. And Austin, you're going to be on board for the last few hours of that one. I'll be here for the first 3 hours, and then pretty much every other hour with the hourly updates for what will be the first proper endurance race this channel has ever broadcasted. On top of that, we're doing their races at Long Beach, Laguna Seca, Road America. That's all been confirmed as well, as Kilroe takes it to the inside of Tom Marasco. He'll pick up 4th. But a lot of new stuff is coming to Green Flag TV, and a lot of spots are opening up. So if you want to get your series broadcasted, check us out at www.greenflagtv.com. Tuesdays and Sundays. 2 days that we'd be more than happy to fill right about now.
Give me work to do, please. I'm trying to put food on the table.
That's the way to get it. We'll play the sympathy card.
I need lunch money.
You need lunch. You need lunch money. I'm in my off season. I need lunch money. I work at a racetrack as my day job. We're not racing right now.
Yeah, I work at a normal 9 to 5. So you're right. Give me fund my betting addiction. I don't, something like that.
Oh boy. You saw Kilmer make that lunge on Marasco into turn 3 2 laps prior, and he picks up 4th, trying to charge down Michael Thorpe Jr. for 3rd and more. Thorpe himself pressuring Cody Welch for the 2nd position, and I think Cody Welch's short run pace has slipped back a little bit ever since Lacey has started to stretch his legs. He's up to about 0.6 of a second again. At this point, I think Lacey has to be my favorite to win this race so far.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I mean, Welch has shown speed on the short run. Thorpe has shown the ability to hold off Lacey. So I feel like both those guys have the speed. It's just they don't have the track position right now. And Lacey looks to be a little bit quicker as the tires start to age. So I think it's going to take a late race caution. Maybe if these guys have another set of tires behind the pit wall, maybe they come down. Maybe one of them jumps them in pit lane and or gets a better restart than them. I feel like that's going to be their win condition there in 2nd and 3rd place, Cody Welch, Michael Thorpe Jr. But who knows? Lacey's been running really quick lap times. Maybe he runs off those tires a little bit more this run and gives Welch an opportunity.
Benjamin Lacey will try to take that one down in the turn numbers 1 and 2, and we'll see if he'll continue to hang on. Thorpe, you mentioned him being able to play good on defense, but so far the offensive game from that 34 car has left something to be desired in the top groupings. I'm curious to see what Ricky Hart Jr. can do and if he can make a run for the top 5 here. He's been looking a bit more aggressive, but I think he's lacked the pace so far to break out of that 7th place that he's found himself stuck in. You saw him look to the inside of Marasco that time into turn 3, but didn't actually commit to the move. And I think those little bits of hesitation could be what's slowing down that big red Mustang. And so fire it down to turns 1 and 2. And see right there again, backs it off by a good bit. He reels him into the mid corner, but all that time lost is, I think, hurting him the most. Sean Britt, though, interestingly enough, he is pitting, he is stopping. So Sean Britt's going to bring that car behind the wall, and he's looking to be down and out for the count.
Yeah, it's a tough one for Britt. We saw a couple of mistakes from him earlier in the race. It's going to hurt his playoff chances. He's going to finish, 2nd worst out of the playoff guys, just ahead of Gibson. One competitor did not show up. I don't know who it is off the top of my head, but one guy did not show up, so he's going to be, 3rd to last in points. So it's a tough showing for Britt because, he sat on the pole, man. He had a fast short run car, just made some mistakes as those tires wore out a little bit. So tough break for Britt, but hey, he's got 2 weeks to right the ship and, fight his way back into playoff contention.
Next 2 races up on the schedule for the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series. We've seen how Eddie Haggett bailed out of pit road. We could be seeing the last round of pit stops taking place over here with about 40 laps to go. But again, Circuit of the Americas will be up for their final road course race on the season next week, and then you'll have the Darlington Raceway to close out the round of 16. COTA will be interesting. That's not a track I have commentated that in a good long while. It's a behemoth of a track down in Austin, Texas, and passing, well, how good it is at passing, that's been a source of debate for a very, very long time, but it does have 2 of the longest straights. In fact, it has the 2 longest straights out of any road course we'll be seeing all season long in this Cup Series, so could be a good show, especially in the opening few laps.
Yeah, and I feel like the braking zones in NASCAR cars are, after the long straightaways, or the passing zones. And you get the heavy braking zones that create the opportunity because you have to brake so much earlier in these cars. Now the next gen is a little bit better on the brakes, so you don't have to brake as late as you do, or as early as you do in the V car, the truck, or the old NASCAR Cup car. But you still got to brake a little bit earlier than most road course cars, so it kind of opens up that opportunity in the braking zones. You could really see some heavy passes, heavy dive bombs coming at the end of that back straight especially. I mean, we're going to see some crazy moves going down there, so looking forward to seeing that next week. But this week right here, looks like that battle for the lead's heating up a little bit. Lacey's actually getting caught by Welch a little bit as Hart Jr. finally gets around Marasco.
And Marasco was way too wide in 3 and 4. Hart opened up the door, licked the stamp, and sent it. But you mentioned Lacey starting to lose a bit of time back to Cody Welch. Check the lap times the last several laps, and what do you know? Gap is starting to shrink just a little bit more. So Welch might be going to the short and the long, but lacks some of that mid-run pace. it sounds a bit counterintuitive, right? And all that means is Welch knows how to drive when the tires are at their worst and at their best. But at that transition period in the middle, it can be a bit tricky to find your pace. And I know a lot of drivers feel the same way. This time by the line, look at that, 400s gained. Welch still within a shot here to take the lead here in a little while as Rasco and Dees both into the lane.
Yeah, Thorpe Jr. crazy loose out of the corner, but it's gonna get harder for Welch, right? Every little bit he gains, he gets a little bit more dirty air, and he's having to run right in the tire tracks of Benjamin Lacey through 3 and 4. He's a little bit higher, but it's a little bit slower whenever you go way up there. He's trying to get a good run off, and he gets the draft down the straightaway, but that dirty air is just going to continue to hurt more and more and more the closer he gets. Able to cut down the lead, though, a good chunk that time, a little over a tenth of a second. Kind of stuffing the words right back in my mouth, but he goes way high into turn 1, tries to get that late cut back. Had clean air for a lot of the corner, dips down in the dirty air, then gets a little bit tight, has to lose a little bit of ground to the race leader that time, so maybe he's just a little bit better in 3 and 4.
Accelerates up to 160 miles an hour, backs it down to about 100 as he'll work into 3 and 4 before starting to get on the loud pedal. You see how he's taking that wider arcing line there into 3 and 4. That's what's helping him to gain this time back and keep it in close. Now compare that to 1 and 2. The corner mentioning that is very much more point and shoot. It's way up to the top this time by. Try to get the momentum run from the banking this time. And that little divot, that dip in the transitioning as you rocket off of turn 2 down the backstretch. 1
and 2 is just such a difficult corner. It feels like you gotta get on the inside of somebody coming off a 4. And if you're side by side, then you can dive it into 1 and 2 to where you take most of the racetrack and you can stay side by side, and then you use the bottom 3 and 4 again to complete the pass. I feel like that's kind of the way you gotta set it up. It allows you to have that kind of opportunity to make the move, but it's just so hard to stick on somebody's inside for a whole lap before you can actually make the pass, unless they make a mistake. But with a guy like Benjamin Lacey, I mean, you're kind of betting against the house by saying, hey, Benjamin Lacey's gonna make a mistake.
Still waiting on about the top 8 to all make their way down in the pit road. Eddie Hagge was the furthest driver up that's already made a stop. Sitting 1 lap down from the rest of these guys up here in the race lead. Nobody from the top 5, though, looking to pit this time through. So Lacey will continue his charge. Further in the back, you got Dalton Kilroe still trying to pull up to Michael Thorpe Jr., and it's about the same distance as first to second are. And again, it's not a gap that's looking to change much anytime soon. There you see Eddie Hagge on that fresh rubber trying to unlap himself, and he's going to start that by trying to get around Dalton Kilroe.
Yeah, Hagge on the newer tires, probably going to make pretty quick work of most of these guys. My goodness. But yeah, Thorpe Jr. way up the racetrack. I'm telling you, every time I look up in the middle of 3 and 4, Thorpe Jr. is running the wall. I mean, my goodness, that man cannot find the bottom of 3 and 4. But he's still running P3 somehow. I mean, he's running really competitive lap times. He's holding the lead for a long portion of this race. But man, I gotta feel like if he got turn 3 right, if he got that dialed in, he would be quick.
Tony Hilbrandt and David Leakey become the next 2 drivers to bail the pit road. They'll be pitting from 7th and 8th as they work their way down and into the lane this time by. So once again, more and more drivers looking to abort this run early, get that fresh rubber, then push hard right to the end of this race. There's not going to be any more scheduled pit stops. This is it from here to the end. I think the only way we get another round of pit stops is if it's under caution going into overtime.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, but I'm still kind of confused that we haven't seen any of the leaders pit. I felt like this would be the changeover point. This is where you want to come down pit road, but I think a guy like Benjamin Lacey's waiting for Cody Welch to make the first move, waiting for him to have that lap advantage on tires. Maybe he just waits too late and he decides to come down because he is fading down to the bottom. Looks like our 2 leaders, both of them are going to come down pit road. It's all about who gets on pit road better. Can Cody Welch close up that gap? Both of them in the grass. Luckily for Welch, he had that little bit of pavement, able to keep it back on, but now Thorpe Jr. is inside on the access road. They're racing a pit road right now, both late on the brakes. It looks like Welch is going to be able to hold on the position. Well, maybe I'm starting to like access roads.
Well, there's an effort there. There's room for 2 cars side by side, but it's typically not very much advised. But what this does mean, all that work that Cody Welch did to push out to Benjamin Lacey has just been thrown out the window with that critical error, and now he could be in a bit of a bad way as well when he leaves pit road. So Welch and Thorpe both down off the jacks on the right-hand side, expected to go up on the left as well. Dalton Kilroe remains on the race lead, and as Ty Marasco looks to unlap himself, He'll lead yet another lap for lap 121.
Man, Kilrow might be trying to do the splash of gas strategy with him staying out so late. Do you think maybe he's just going to come down and save 10 seconds on the pit stop? I mean, that could possibly work out if he might be thinking that way. I know that he's a strategy guy, so I wouldn't be too surprised. But man, Cody Welch, did he have another issue coming off of pit road?
Yeah, I got a bit sideways, in fact, coming off of pit road that last time by. Take a look. Spins up the tires a bit, clips the grass, sends a cone flying, and lands, and we'll keep on going.
And that completely spreads out our top three. I mean, Thorpe Jr.'s way back. Welch now has a little bit of gap back to Thorpe Jr. It'll be interesting to see if they can run down Lacey. It'll be tough. I'm really thinking Kilroy's going for a big strategy play where he's just going for a splash of gas. I kind of like this. Could be big. I mean, it's a 10-second difference in terms of time on pit road, right? I mean, that's a massive, massive gap. And they're only going to have 27, 28 laps on these fresher tires. They're definitely going to run Kilroy in, but could Kilroy maybe get down pit road really well and just put a splash of gas in to win this thing? I don't know. It's possible.
27 laps to go here, and Dalton Kilroy, Scott Shore, and Kevin Foster are the last few cars to pit. Eddie Hagge right now sits as the net race lead. Benjamin Lacey sits about 3.6 seconds behind him. So Lacey will be looking to push hard in these last few laps here to close that gap down. We're looking at Michael Thorpe Jr. trying to take it to the inside of Ricky Hart Jr. here into 3 and 4. See Hart slide up a bit. Thorpe trying to push down and file through. Not quite able to get there, though, this time around. He's not going to stop trying, though. He'll get him in 1.
He's got the newer tires. He's been a little bit quicker all night. Thorpe Jr. back up to net second after the pit stop, passing Ricky Hart Jr. there on the inside of the racetrack in 1 and 2. Thorpe's up to 7th, but it's really second. You know, if you're playing the strategy game. I mean, I say that. I don't know. Kilroy could win this thing on a
probably 4th,
strategy.
actually, now to think about it, because remember, Hagge's already pitted.
Hagge.
Yeah, Hagge and Marasco, they both pitted. That said, they pitted a good 7 laps prior, so they're up the road, but they don't have the pace to maintain that gap.
No, I don't think so either. It's going to be tough. I mean, Eddie Hagge has, what, 2.5 seconds on Lacey? I mean, that's not a lot of time. 3 seconds.
No, not at all.
That's not a lot of time. 25 laps, you got 7 lap pressure tires, but Marasco's racing Lacey hard. This is going to help Hagge, right? I mean, this could it's going to pull Lacey back a little bit. I think he'll clear him in 3 and 4 here. Newer tires on the inside. Preferred groove of the racetrack. Just brake deeper. Take the corner. It's yours at this point. Good job from Lacey. Just taking that position away. You know, he didn't want to run him any harder than he had to. Took it as soon as he had the opportunity. But again, it's still a 3-second gap, right? I mean, that held him up a little bit, cost him a lap. So it'll be interesting. Can Eddie Hagge hang on? He's got to be at least within a 10th every lap. If he's over a 10th slower every lap, then he's dead in the water. But if he can keep it under that, he's got a chance.
Kilroy continues to lead. He still has not come down to pit road. We are under 25 laps to go, so that 41 car has got to make that choice. When do you want to come down? I think at this point, any more laps than you stay out here, you're wasting time. You're going to lose so much when you come down to pit road. That is a guarantee. Why bother staying out if you know you're only going to lose more and more time on the racetrack? We're too late in the race by now that he could gain all of that back.
That's where I'm saying he's got to be doing a strategy play, right? It's either he's going to put a splash of gas in and gain 10 seconds on pit road but lose all the time on the tires, or he's going to come in really, really late, last minute, take tires, but be the only guy on new tires in case a caution comes out. So I feel like that's the strategy Kilroy's playing, one of those two. It could work out either way for him. So if I'm Kilroy, he's the strategy king, right? I mean, he does strategy plays all the time. So not really too surprised to see him go off sequence from everybody else, because I don't think he falls outside of the top 10, even if it goes wrong. So I think this is a good strategy here early in the playoffs.
Kilroy continuing to lead the way down into 1 and 2. Here goes Cody Welch. He'll overtake Michael Thorpe Jr. with ease that time by working down. Well, I say that. Thorpe starts to fight back as they dive into turn 3. But Cody Welch definitely trying to get up and around that Amsoil Camaro. And can he get off of turn 4? Not as well as I thought he would. Thorpe maintains that run, and they're both running down. They're about to be held up here by Ty Marasco.
Yeah, the season of misfortune just kind of continues for Cody Welch. I mean, today hasn't been as bad. And, he's gone on the over of whenever I said he was going to lag out. So credit to him. But he did have a little bit of misfortune getting to and coming out of pit road. It's kind of cost him the chance of the win. He came down pit road on the back bumper. Man, speaking of the back bumper, Thorpe Jr. all over the back bumper of Ty Marasco, trying to move him out of the way, saying, come on, man, get out of the way. We are on newer tires. We're trying to come through. I'm trying not to lose this spot to Cody Welch. Thorpe's going to look to the inside down the front straightaway, but he doesn't have the overlap, but he's just going to drive it in deep. He's tired of waiting, tired of wasting time. Deep on the brakes on the inside of the racetrack. Going to slide up in the center just a little bit. Marasco gives him room. Heavy on the gas coming out. Super tight between the two coming out of 2.
Not able to get there, though. Marasco with that bank and able to pull clear from the top. Thorpe's going to not be deterred, though. Sends it to the bottom of 3 and 4. Tracking up. Got to be careful with that one. He'll keep it out of the door. And just behind them, Cody Welch now. Looking like he wants to try to find a way through, and he's going to try to make a 3-wide move off of turn 4. But they'll single it out by the time to get down to turn 1. Welch himself is done waiting, except he's not waiting around for Thorpe to overtake Marasco. He's going to overtake the both of them if Thorpe doesn't get a move on.
Yeah, and that's why Thorpe's got to be frustrated. I mean, he's faster than Marasco. He's got 7-lap pressure tires, so he's going to be faster. That's a lot at Gateway, but that dirty air, man, it's tough. It's tough to pass at this racetrack, even on newer tires. And he just has not found a way around Marasco, and Marasco's not doing anything wrong either. He's running a very predictable line, giving Thorpe the bottom, honestly, through 3 and 4 there, letting him get some air on the nose. And Thorpe's just not able to make a run out of it, but Welch really isn't able to do anything either.
Oh, contact this time, and Marasco getting turned. He'll save the car as he tracks it up in 1 and 2. Thorpe to the bottom. Hart follows through, and Welch makes it 3 for 3. Well, Thorpe was done waiting. Move or you will be moved, and Marasco picked option number 2.
Yeah, he just kind of shipped him out of the way entering turn 1, got him in there a little deep, moved him out of the racetrack, honestly. Did not even give Marasco a chance. And by the time Marasco had that thing wound up, he was coming off of turn 2 and just about got loose again. Now Welch trying to make up for that lost position. He had to check out a little bit more than Ricky Hart did. Lost the spot through that little bit of mayhem there with Ty Marasco, but Cody Welch trying to get that spot back once again from Ricky Hart. A little bit quicker off of 2, not quite able to clear just yet, but he's going to be able to do it down the back straightaway. Cody Welch now hunt down Thorpe Jr. once again. The battle for the net race lead is heating up, though. Aggie is barely holding on to this thing over Benjamin Lacey.
16 laps to go this next time by at the line, and Lacey to the inside of Eddie Haggie. On track, this the battle for fourth, excuse me. Lacey takes it down low. Haggie keeps it way up on the top. Whoa, boy! Haggie into the wall as Lacey started to bobble off the bottom, and so a bit of an awkward pass for the lead, but a pass for the lead nonetheless. Scott Schuer takes it to pit road, and that's a good thing because I was starting to wonder, we have made a strategy blunder. They could make it to the end. I think Scott Schuer has just confirmed they can't.
Yeah, coming down with 15 laps to go. Probably maybe just 2 sets of, holy cow, half a set of tires. Probably just taking 2 tires here on the 29 machine. Maybe try to save a little bit of time, but Kilroe's still out on the racetrack. Not coming down here, coming through 3 and 4 on the racetrack still. Not taking that access road that I hate so much, but still coming out of turn 4. Kilroe, I'm just interested to see what his strategy is. Is he just waiting to catch the caution? Because I feel like, he doesn't have enough gap to make the fuel call work. I don't think that he has enough of a gap on Lacey. He's got older tires. That gap's going to keep coming down. I just don't think that it's going to end up being the race-winning strategy call, so I think he's hedging his bets on a late race caution right here.
At this point, if Kilroe comes down and it's a full set of 4 tires, he's dropping all the way down to 11th. And I don't hear him put in the clutch at all either. I mean, if he was looking to save fuel, I might expect to see him putting that clutch in, right? But I haven't heard that from him so far all throughout this race today, and we'll listen to the turn 1 again. No clutch. So I don't think he's got enough fuel, though. I mean, the runs that we've seen so far would not suggest that at all.
No, there's no way. I mean, if he can do it, I mean, credit to him, but I just don't see it. I really don't.
We went green flag racing on what lap here? Lap 84, I want to say. Not 84. My apologies. It was good. It was a good like 30 minutes ago. Oh, there it is. Dalton Kilroe just made it into pit road. So that, well, that confirms that. I was trying to do the math here on the time. At least you'd have to be running that full tilt in order to run out of fuel, but I guess after a half an hour, that'll be it. So Foster officially retakes the race lead himself, and he'll lead his first lap of the race at lap 138. Expect that 8 car to be in before too long as well.
Yeah, Foster's going to have to pit. It's going to hand over the race lead to Benjamin Lacey. And Lacey had challengers, man. Thorpe Jr. was here, Cody Welch was here, but through the pit cycle, they just did not have good time on pit road. Thorpe Jr. got caught up in some traffic coming back through the field that Lacey did not really have to deal with, and just kind of cost both Thorpe Jr. and Welch a good bit of time. They're just way far back off the back of Lacey now, over 4 seconds. That was a tight race over the last green flag run, but this time that pit cycle really put a jumble in the running order there.
That leaves now this battle between Michael Thorpe Jr. and Cody Welch. This will be the battle for the final podium position here if things continue as they are. 11 to go at the line. Foster is within 0.6 of a second for the race lead as Benjamin Lacey has been running that gap down for the last little while. And trouble for Scott Schuer. Hello. Way down low at 3 and 4, rejoining the racetrack at turn 4. That's an interesting line to put it mildly. What's happened here to the 29 car? Oh, lost the back end, it looked like.
Yeah, through 3 and 4, just kind of a lazy spin through the center of the corner. Probably a little bit too much wheel into it with a little bit too much gas, and just wrap that thing around.
Good save, though. Able to get back onto the track, no caution. Foster in a battle with Lacey now for the race lead as Lacey sends it to the inside in turns 3 and 4, and that number 7 car through to the point.
Benjamin Lacey trying to punch his ticket to the next round right here tonight. Takes the race lead away from Foster, who's yet to pit. Move Lacey up into P1. Also, you got to look back down to Dalton Kilroy. He's fallen all the way back to P12 after his pit stop. Tough strategy call, I guess. Working out for him. He wanted that late race caution. Has not come yet. I mean, if it comes out now, he'll be able to jump some people if they come down pit road, but it might just be a little bit too late for Dalton Kilroy.
Yeah, too little, too late. It's a strategy that did not pan out the way he was hoping for, as the rest of these guys, Thorpe, Haggie, Welch, will continue their steady march. The good news for all of these drivers, remember, we were talking about it before, you don't have to win, right? You just have to be better than the guys that are below the elimination line. Well, everybody that's 12th on up are playoff drivers. They're all on the lead lap. The next closest driver that Kilroy could lose to is a lap behind him. And the 2 behind him are out of the race entirely, with a 4th being a no-show. So that is a very small silver lining, but there's a lot of work to do for that number 41 car, come Coda.
Yeah, but he's got 4 fresh tires. I could expect him to pick off Leakey and Greenwell. He's got newer tires on both those guys. I can see him, moving up another couple spots and separating himself from that cut line just a little bit more. But Cody Welch trying to take P3 away from Eddie Haggie. Really P4 right now, but Foster still has to pit, so P3 in all seriousness. Looking to the inside of Eddie Haggie. Got the newer tires than Haggie, but Haggie's making it difficult on him on the outside of the racetrack through turns 2. Haggie gets a little bit loose, almost takes out the 87, or 85, sorry, but able to keep it out of him. Tags the wall a little bit, but no harm, no foul. Both of them still racing on, carrying forward. Can Haggie hang on to that P4 spot away from Ricky Hart Jr.?
Kevin Foster pits. The final car that had to make a stop in this race will be down and into pit road. So that is it. Our pit cycles for the duration of this race are now complete with less than 10 laps remaining. So far, the battles on track remain this bit of a loose battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, just under a second. And then you got this one between David Leakey and Jason Greenwell. This is the scrap for the last spot inside the top 10, the one that the one that Dalton Kilroy managed to break around into 9th.
Yeah, and you got to think, every position matters so much. I mean, to these guys, this is right on the bubble. This is right on the cut line. I mean, this is 10th and 11th, basically in the standings, fighting for this position. Every point matters to these guys to get past this round. Got to be in the top 12. Right now, running 10th and 11th on the racetrack, roughly 10th and 11th in the points. I mean, this battle means so much to both these guys.
Yeah, no kidding. This is absolutely massive for these drivers, and they have a lot to do if they want to ensure that they're going to be able to work their way into the next few races. The round of 16 is unique, right, in the fact that it is made out of tracks where you have to be skillful if you want to move your way on. So you can't fluke your way out of the round of 16 to the round of 12. It is all based on skill. You got the Worldwide Technology Raceway and obviously, Circuit of the Americas is more how your right turning skills are going to be. Then you have Darlington, the mother of all strategy tracks. We haven't seen too much overtaking in the second half of this race. We're going to be seeing way less throughout the Darlington race. I genuinely think that, all the passes that we had in the first half of this race, that might be all we get altogether at Darlington.
It could be, but you got to think there's going to be a lot of comers and goers too, just because of how heavy the tire wear is. I mean, you can be really quick at the front end of those runs at Darlington and be unbelievably slow at the end. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some people making that mistake and pushing too hard too early in some of the runs and giving us some overtaking opportunities. But the problem with that is typically after the long run comes and you're on really bad tires and somebody else has done a better job saving them, they just blow your doors off completely. So it's not even a fight at that point. You're just kind of giving positions back and forth between each other. So we might see a little bit more of that.
It's not the only battle you got picking up. Eddie Hagge has lost time to Ricky Hart Jr. So we could be seeing Hagge lose another position before the end of this race as Leakey finally gets around Greenwell. There's Hart right to the back bumper of that 97 car, and could Big Red make an overtake here in these final 2.5 laps?
Both sitting solidly in the top 5. At this point, for both these guys, like, you want this position, right? We were talking about how big it means to the guys in 10th and 11th. Both these guys have good runs going, right? You don't want to completely throw it away. You can lose the one position and not be too upset, right? You picked up 5, 6, 7 points on the cut line. This is where you need to be. So if I'm with these guys, maybe you're taking it with a little bit of a grain of salt, not pushing too hard because you know the risk associated with it. But Hart has newer tires. He's doing a little bit better than Hagge at this part of the run, and he's a little bit quicker, so he's going to stick his nose in there and try to get it done. But I feel like we're going to see a relatively reserved Ricky Hart Jr. here.
Backing way off into turns 3 and 4, and I think he may be trying to set up a move. And in fact, he is. It's Hagge in too deep. Hart sweeps through. He'll pick up 4th. And that will then see Benjamin Lacey take up the white flag as that number 7 car dives into the 1 and 2 for the final time. Benjamin Lacey, a driver that has been within the top 5 all race long, bar that one point where he slipped backwards from strategy on an early caution. And now the number 7 car will dive into turns 3 and 4 for the final time tonight. And he will find himself the first driver to lock himself into the round of 12 with a race win at the Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Still battling for position further back in the racetrack. 7th place, Wilson Hillbrands. Coming off of turn 4, Wilson able to hold on to that 7th place away from Tony Hillbrands. Good fight between the two guys. Clean, respectful racing all throughout the field here tonight. Long green flag runs. Really good job from everybody. Really good way to open off the playoffs. Congrats to Benjamin Lacey punching his ticket into the round of 12. Not too surprising. He's been the, kind of the one to beat all year. I think I called him as my championship favorite at Pocono. Not too surprising to see him open off the playoffs with a victory.
Fireworks shoot off over in the back straightaway as Lacey will work his way up and around to the front stretch this time by, and that number 7 car will be able to burn it down as the first driver to come home and pick up a race win in the playoffs.
And he made sure we couldn't tech it. Smart driver, smart.
Good form on that one, too.
I was about to say, pretty good donut. I need a little bit more smoke, but man, just keeping that thing wrapped around in the center. Where's the smoke at, though?
You'd have to ask Iverson about that one. We'll take a rundown of your official post-race results at the end of this night of racing action here from the Worldwide Technology Raceway, Madison, Illinois. And to kick off the round of 16, Benjamin Lacey is the race winner ahead of Michael Thorpe Jr. Cody Welch rounds out the podium. We'll talk through all of them in just a moment. Ricky Hart Jr. is back in 4th with Eddie Hagge in 5th. Ty Marasco was in 6th with Paul Wilson in 7th. Tony Hillbrands 8th. Dalton Kilroe 9th. David Leakey rounds out the top 10.
Yep, Jason Greenwell comes home 11th. Scott Schuer in 12th. Kevin Foster 13th. Brian Dees 14th. 15th was Sean Britt with Connor Gibson rounding out the field here in 16th.
Noah Mayuri did not make it to the starting call. He is the only driver marked as a DNS from racing action here tonight. The The rest of these guys, though, are very much on the track all race long, and they were ready to party. So we'll take a rundown of your podium finishers here at the end of the night, and we'll, of course, be able to kick things off with the likes of Benjamin Lacey, the driver that was able to come home and take up the race win at the end of a wild night of racing action. We'll see if we can't get in touch with that driver, the number 7 car. There he is. We'll drag him on in here, and we'll give a chit-chat to the first driver to lock himself into the round of 12. It is Benjamin Lacey joining us once again up here in the broadcast booth. Ben, this race was yours to lose all throughout the night. Walk us through what was relatively a tame race for you up in the front.
That was kind of the goal. Stay up front, stay out of trouble. I just want to say, great job to all the drivers tonight. That was a great race in terms of, I think we had a couple of cautions, but we had some really good green flag runs, and I just want to say congrats to everyone in that race, because that was a heck of a race and fun to be a part of. A little different strategy with green flag runs, and yeah, Thorpe was a good threat tonight. I figured I had to get around him somehow before that first set of pit stop, but then I was able to do that, and then I was like, oh, he may short pit me, so I was able to time it with him coming in. That kind of helped keep us in the lead. But Thorpe was fast tonight. Cody was right up there too. I think those guys finished second and third. And congrats to Cody, for my teammate, for a P3, actually being able to make it through and not disconnecting.
If we look forward, obviously, into the round of 12, you're going to be more or less sorted in this one, so you can take these next two races easier. But looking forward, how many more of your teammates do you reckon will be able to follow you through and potentially pick up race wins to lock themselves into the round of 12 as well?
Sean sat on pole tonight, so obviously he's got pace. I think there's just been a few little mistakes that ends up costing him out. I think he might have spun himself out tonight, and I think that's going to happen previous, but he'll lock it in. He'll set up his times where he'll set it in, and he'll be solid. Cody, he's had some bad luck, man. I mean, for real, not being able to actually finish a race because of internet issues or something, but he made it through tonight, and if that continues, then Cody, I think, will be a pretty well set to make it into the next round. And Tony, I think that guy should have had a couple of wins this year already, so I think all of us here at 785 have a pretty good shot to make it all the way into the Final Four even.
And looking forward now to the Circuit of the Americas, it is the final road course race we'll be having here on the course of the season for the High Tide Racing League Emma Racing Designs Cup Series. What can we expect to see from that number 7 car as we'll get set to turn right for one more time?
Hopefully we'll be able to run up front. That track is a pretty technical track, and a lot of technique goes into that one. So I mean, if Mr. Nick Nickerson shows up, I mean, he's gonna be a tough one to run with, and hopefully just be able to keep up with him and get a top 5. That'd be ideal.
Well, we will wish you the best of luck then when we go racing 1 week from now over in Austin, Texas. For now, congratulations once again on the strong race win here tonight. We'll see you back in the Lone Star State.
Thank you, guys.
That was Benjamin Lacey joining us up here in the broadcast booth. We'll move things on down to Michael Thorpe Jr., the driver that is able to pick up the number 2 spot at the end of the night, moving up 8 positions, the most spots gained out of anybody. Austin, you're standing by with our runner-up.
Michael, it looked like you may have had race-winning pace there towards the middle part of that race. Benjamin Lacey just pulled out a gap at the end, though. What more did you need here tonight to maybe challenge him for that?
Less traffic.
Well, that's pretty short and to the point answer. I definitely understand. Coming out of pit road, y'all kind of got stuck behind a couple slower guys. Did you think you had the pace to run with them, though? Maybe just getting a late caution to kind of reset things? Did you think that maybe you could have given him a run for his money?
Oh, 100%. No doubt about that. Me and Ben were like just going back and forth with the lead a few times, so I knew I had the pace to, at least be competitive with him. But it is what it is,
Well, still a really good run for you to start out the playoffs. I mean, I know racing can sometimes be a little bit of a momentum sport. So does this just kind of add up to the momentum and, kick off a good playoff run for you? Do you think you can build onto it and, turn it into that?
For the ovals, road courses, maybe. But I'm more confident on the ovals than I am road courses. So I think next week is COTA. So I'm not really sure how confident I'll be with the car there. But we'll see. Anything can happen.
Well, either way, congrats on the P2 finish. I'm sure it'll turn into something good for you. You know, you've only got to make it to the first round, and then you're done with the road courses, right? So hopefully it'll all go good for you, and we're looking forward to talking to you again.
Yep, thanks, guys.
That was our second place finisher, Michael Thorpe Jr. We're going to throw it back over to Nolan, who's going to get in touch with our third place, Cody Welch.
That'll be Cody Welch to join us up here in the number 3 spot, the driver that was able to come home and pick up that number 3 spot on the podium here tonight. And finally, some luck falls the way of that number 85 car as Cody was able to join us up here in the broadcast booth. And overall, for Cody, it was a wild night up and down throughout this field and had a really good podium fight there with Ricky Hart Jr. and Michael Thorpe Jr. throughout those closing laps as well.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm glad I'm able to finish the race finally. I think I got my computer issues figured out. I didn't have any issues tonight, knock on wood. And yeah, fun battling with those guys.
Kind of walk us through the race tonight. Out of all the tracks, they're all technical in their own right, but obviously Gateway is a very unique racetrack in its layout, especially with the banking and the different radius corners. How do you have to navigate a track like this to be able to pull forward with a third-place finish like that?
Yeah, first of all, it was a tricky track, especially with the setup and the cars for it. Just super, super tight and then snap you loose off. So you had to kind of run the line through 1 and 2, kind of in the middle, and stay in the black groove to get enough traction to get off the corner. And 3 and 4 is just a matter of getting on the gas quick enough and kind of slipping your rear end to get out of 4 without hitting the wall. So I'm sweating right now. I'm sweating profusely. Had to focus the entire race just to keep it off everyone and keep it out of the wall. But yeah, tough track, tough setup. Glad it's over. Glad I finished.
Looking forward into race's future, you got Darlington and Circuit of the Americas coming on up next. Where can we expect to see that Star Spangled Camaro potentially making it to victory lane?
Darlington for sure. That over any road course ever. So I'm pretty good at Darlington. It's one of my favorite tracks, and I'm looking forward to taking this car to it for the first time.
Well, we'll see if you can put it on to victory lane in South Carolina. For now, though, congratulations on the third-place finish tonight, and we'll see if we'll have another good result in the Lone Star State.
Sounds good. Thank you.
That was Cody Welch joining us up here in the broadcast booth. And, well, that'll do it for us up here on Greenfly TV for the time being. What a night of racing it has been, though. And next week, we roll down to the Circuit of the Americas. They say everything's bigger in Texas. Well, it turns out it's the same way with their racetracks, as COTA remains one of the largest road course racing venues throughout the United States, and definitely the biggest road course we'll be visiting over the course of this opening season of HTRL as well.
Yeah, it'll be a fun show next week. I mean, we might get a little bit of spread out racing, but we saw last road course. There's some really tight battles up towards the front of it, right? We went to the Indy road course, and it was pretty tight. There was a couple of really hard battles that we saw coming down to the wire. So I think there's a couple little groups of people here that are pretty competitive on road courses with each other. So I think we're still going to get some pretty hefty fighting throughout the field here in the playoffs.
Once again, we roll down to Austin, Texas 1 week from now. Later on in this week, we'll be returning with the Beer League. They will be getting set for their next bout of racing action. They'll be entering the second to last race of the season. This time we swing back across the Pacific, this time to Japan. We'll be racing at the short layout of the Tsukuba circuit. So essentially, we're in for a demo curve on Wednesday. So business is always for the Beer League. And then, of course, on Friday, the LTAC All Street Media Cup Series will be making their return. This time they will be making a swing, out on over in towards the Milwaukee Mile. Another flat racetrack coming on up, and a technical track indeed for the Friday Night Cup Series. If you want to get your lead broadcast on Greenfly TV, be sure to check us out at www.greenflytv.com for all of our pricing and more. We'd be more than happy to take you on board, as we are currently looking to fill our Tuesday and Sunday nights. So be sure to get in touch. We'd be more than happy to take you along. My name is Nolan Rempel alongside Austin Edstrom. Thank you for joining us tonight here for the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series from Madison, Illinois. We'll see you all down south in the Lone Star State.